Retrograde Amnesia is a member of the Greenlit Podcast Network. Go to greenlitpodcasts.com to find out about all the other great shows on the network. If you like Retrograde Amnesia and want to hear more of us, support us on Patreon at patreon.com/retroam. Patrons get 2-week early access and a stereo mix of the main show. We also offer bonus episodes and access to exclusive miniseries on other JRPGs like Terranigma and Parasite Eve. Go to patreon.com/retroam. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Chris.
Why did you make me do this?
Well, Chris, I've got some receipts here.
Yeah?
On January 5th, 2012,
Yeah?
you said, I traded the bouncer into Amazon for 75 cents.
I traded what?
The bouncer.
Into Amazon for 75 cents. This is part of your great purge where you got rid of all your valuable games for next to nothing.
Yeah. It
Dragon
wasn't. No,
Quest
I got some. It funded a TV.
75 cents. Where's that TV now, Chris? It's in a dumpster.
The panel died.
That's great.
Yeah.
January 27th, 2016, at Eric Lehman. We need to do a The Bouncer episode.
Okay.
What are we doing tonight, Chris?
We're going to do
The bouncer
episode. And it's going to be great. Okay.
9 years in the making.
Yeah. Would you like to hear some hot sounds that I've recorded, Eric? Welcome to Retrograde Amnesia, a comprehensive podcast where we discuss classic JRPGs chapter by chapter, beat by beat. This is a special bonus pod celebrating 20 years of
The Bouncer.
North American release.
My name is Chris. I'm joined tonight by Eric. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Chris, thanks for pointing at me. It's good for an audio medium.
We are joined tonight by the Boo Boo Bros, a collective of patrons who are listening to us record live. You too can join the Boo Boo Bros at patreon.com/retroam.
We are also joined by the FakeNet, our post-production AI companion and product of Dream Factory.
Initializing FakeNet.
I can't believe you've done this.
Thank you for joining us tonight, FakeNet.
I don't have a choice.
What are we going to do tonight?
Destroy your own brand.
Well, typically we talk about a JRPG in exhaustive detail, such as Xenogears, Chrono Cross, Parasite Eve, Terranigma.
Oh, you mean chapter by chapter, beat by beat?
Right, but instead we're going to do one podcast, probably a long one, on 1 hour and a half long video game.
The Bouncer.
Chapter by chapter, beat by beat.
That's right.
Everything on here. This is a beat 'em up game. So let's get into it right now, Eric.
The Bouncer was released December 23rd, 2000 in Japan, March 6th, 2001 in North America, and finally, a first for our podcast, June 22nd, 2001 in Europe.
Oh, great. Congratulations. Europe finally got a game that we are covering. Great.
Chris, you know when it has been re-released to other networks or services?
Did it ever get a PSN?
Fucking never.
Never. Okay, no PSN release, nothing. Okay, got it.
Production was a collaboration between Square and Dream Factory.
Yes, Dream Factory's awesome.
Dream Factory, remember how Zone of the Enders had that Metal Gear Solid 2 demo and Crackdown had access to the Halo 3 beta?
Yeah.
Dream Factory and Square pioneered that shit by being the progenitors of seeding a demo inside of a game no one really thinks about owning.
Yeah.
When they put the Final Fantasy VII demo a year early in Tobal number 1.
Yes.
Tobal 2 came out a year later in 96.
By 1996, Eric means 1997.
Which is one of the more technically gorgeous games on the PlayStation with its Gura shading.
Runs at a very smooth 60 frames per second.
Yes, it does. Both of them do. And then they would go on to release Air Guys, God Bless the Ring.
God Bless the Ring.
Which I bought day one, April 30th, 99, at the height of my Final Fantasy VII obsession.
Yes.
Air Guys was good, man.
Yeah, it was.
Reviewers at the time speculated that the Bouncer was reusing character animations from these older fighting games.
It really feels like it.
But the Tobal games were better than they should have been and included some well-respected RPG-flavored sideshows in them. Air Guys,
God Bless the Ring,
also benefited from including half the Final Fantasy VII cast, but really it was one of the first truly 3D run-anywhere fighting games along with Estrega and then, I guess, wrestling games, technically.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. It moves a lot faster than wrestling games, but yes.
Power Stone would later accomplish Air Guys' goals with a bit more success. Anyway, my point is, Dream Factory had a good pedigree and they knew what they were doing by the time the PlayStation 2 rolled around.
Yes.
After the Bouncer, they would make more beat-em-ups with Crimson Tears and Appleseed EX on PS2, and more fighting games with Fighting Beauty Wulong, Kakudo Chojin on the original Xbox, and the canceled Kenju game on the Atomis Wave.
Wow.
Chris, did you fuck with any of this shit?
No, I did not fuck with any of that shit.
Well, I played Kenju on the Atomis Wave platform today. I didn't know what I was doing. And I actually put a pretty big dent in Crimson Tears last week as a beat-em-up with RPG aspects on PS2. It's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Looks nice.
Cool.
Cel-shaded.
Yeah.
So it was directed by Takahashi Tokita and Shichi Ishii, We've heard Tokita recently. Tokita was the lead designer for Final Fantasy IV and also directed Parasite Eve and assisted with Chrono Trigger.
Another game we've covered, Parasite Eve.
Yeah, Parasite Eve, huh? In an interview with IGN in 2001, Tokita stated the Bouncer was intended to feel like a playable action movie with 3 different perspectives. The cinematic beat 'em up, if you will.
Yes.
From a different interview with IGN in 2000, someone asked him how much research was done at local bars, and is that research still going on today? Tokita responded with, "That is my daily pursuit." Ishii, the co-director, good lord, directed Tekken, Tekken 2, Virtua Fighter, Virtua Racing, and Air Guys, God Bless the Ring.
God bless the ring.
And he actually started Dream Factory after leaving Namco. Topal and Air Guys were marketed as coming from the guy who designed Tekken and Virtua Fighter. And if you've played Air Guys, surely you've noticed, Air Guys, God Bless the Ring.
God bless the ring.
Surely you've noticed most of the original cast directly and indirectly references the cast from Tekken 2, such as Ken Godhand Mishima.
Yes.
Soundtrack by Noriko Matsueda and Takehito Iguchi. Matsueda did, of course, Front Mission 2 and Iguchi on Racing Lagoon and Final Fantasy X 2. She also did one song on Chrono Trigger, the Boss Battle 1.
Oh, that's a good song.
Higuchi worked on the same titles and would go on to help score almost every subsequent Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Yes, I noticed that as well.
Character designs are, of course, quite obviously by
Tetsuya Nomura, Eric.
the voice cast. A relative first for Retrograde Amnesia includes Paul Steven as Sion Barzad
Yes.
in his only video game role.
Yeah.
Mike DeGard as Volt Krueger. I thought this was John DiMaggio the entire fucking time I was playing it. And who is Ko Lifo?
It is a man known as Steve Blum, but in this game he's credited as David Lucas, correct?
Yeah, he has like a weird pen name that I've never seen used anywhere else on that.
He has about 15 different aliases, and a lot
Why?
of that was to avoid the guild,
Okay.
basically.
Right.
And his most famous credit, Eric, do you know what that is? At least for me, his most famous credit?
No, what's that?
He played Spike Spiegel in an anime called Cowboy Bebop. But he is prolific. He's worked on hundreds of video games and hundreds of animes.
Right, Cowboy Bebop, a spinoff of Ninja Turtles.
No.
English localization directed by Richard fucking Honeywood.
Thank you, Richard.
Then novel DVD technology afforded space for the Japanese language track on the North American disc, which was a first for games with voice acting that I remember. The Bouncer was indirectly announced in a tech reel at SIGGRAPH 1999. SIGGRAPH is like a tech and computer graphics showcase thing, which Dream Factory with their advanced tech was showcasing some shit on.
Yeah.
At the time, IGN speculated this was Air Guys 2, because what else would they be working on,
Right.
I can't find the footage of this, but apparently it showed sequences from the bar fight at Fate.
I saw it. Yeah, I found it and I watched it. And I specifically remember seeing this way back, probably on IGN, way back during, probably not, 1998, 1999? Is that when that came out?
99.
99. And that is what generated the hype for me personally, because not only was this a Square game and it was going to be the first Square game for the PS2, but there was a lot of dynamic action going on. They were pushing tables, jumping over tables, destructible environments. The tagline for the game, which was obviously dropped because this doesn't apply anymore, in that trailer or in that tech demo, was Seamless Action Battle System, where the game was transitioning from battle sequence to cutscene with no pause, with no fade in, no
In real
fade
time,
out.
yeah.
It looked in real time and it looked terrific. And that blew my fucking mind. And I wanted that video game. And so, as you probably remember back in the time, because you knew me then, I was excited for this game and I bought it day one, mainly because of that tech demo.
The great disappointment. What Chris is thinking of is actually the demo shown at TGS in 1999, which debuted those seamless transitions. There is no, as far as I know, footage of that SIGGRAPH reel.
Okay, sorry, I got them mixed up, sorry.
It's 3 minutes, you're hearing it in the background, and it shows that flaming train hitting the station, along with the brawl at Fate, complete with what appears to be destructible environments and a sweet-ass table slide.
Yeah, that table slide is ingrained into my memory. When whatever character it was slid that table and the ninja jumped over it, like split leg jumped over it, that was so amazing looking to me. And I think Dominique is fighting in that sequence as well.
She's also fighting in that sequence. It also has like a balcony hit where he falls off the balcony, and that's the entire reason for a balcony existing in that bar.
Yeah,
But now it's just pointless.
Yeah, there's a lot of pointless things that we're going to discover in the game.
There's also lighting effects on the top of the train that show Echidna that aren't present in the game. But the Bouncer's lighting is still very good.
Yeah.
With Sony's incomplete SDK at the time of launch, the Bouncer was easily the best looking game on that platform until Final Fantasy X, Jak and Daxter, Gran Turismo 3, and Metal Gear Solid 2 at everybody's lunch later that year. You bought this game when it came out, right?
Yeah.
I didn't play it until 2016. What did you think when you actually played this game?
Do you know how you see mostly probably younger kids on the internet today that defend review scores or attack reviewers?
Everybody just attacks review scores.
Yeah.
Nobody defends that shit. Come on, man.
Yeah, but in a way to justify a purchase. That
yeah.
was me. I mean, I was on the internet being a warrior about it, but I played this game over and over again because I'm like, I'm going to enjoy this fucking game. I'm going to enjoy it. And trying to get over the letdown that I had when I finished the game, an hour and a half after I bought it, and played it multiple times to try to squeeze any value out of it. And I don't think I ever found that.
Was this your third game after Dynasty Warriors 2 and Armored Core 2, or did you pick up Zone of the Enders that February for that Metal Gear Solid?
Yes, I had Zone of the Enders, probably something else. I don't remember. Zone of the Enders was close to this because it wasn't a really long game, but it felt more fully featured than this game, especially given the expectations that I went in knowing about the destructible environments and whatnot.
Plus, it had the Metal Gear Solid 2 demo. What the bouncer could have used was a Final Fantasy X demo.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
When I played in 2016, I found it enjoyable once it was divorced of its contemporary hype cycle.
Yeah.
At the time, though, it felt like the first PS2's big bust, the Order 1886 of its day, if you will.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. And, we'll talk about this along the way because we're going to go through the entire game, but I enjoyed a lot of the play in this game, although this game's pretty easy to get a little cheesy with. I enjoyed the physics. I enjoyed how smooth everything looked, and I think I enjoyed it maybe more this time than I did before because it's a really neat time capsule, I think, as this game is.
The reception was one of the first instances of the gamers feeling betrayed.
Yes.
And misled about bullshots.
Me, the gamer, yes.
Right. Like before Wind Waker and Metroid, before you knew Metroid Prime was first person, before you saw Wind Waker had cartoon graphics, I remember the internet being very upset at what the bouncer actually delivered.
Yes.
So I think this game is gorgeous, which may not be apparent if you either weren't around for the PS2 generation or if you don't remember it. I love PS1 and Saturn games, but to me, PS2 in the eve of the HD era was a sweet spot between technical demands and like the creation of fun.
Yeah.
It had the best creation economy, if that makes any sense. And the bouncer's facial animations and motion capture were at the time state of the art.
Yes.
Which motion capture was still relatively new then. A lot of stuff was still hand animated.
Yeah.
And this looks pretty good. And Chris, this game runs at 60.
Yeah, it does. Multiple times throughout playing this game, I turned to my notes and wrote, I want somebody to make a game that looks like this. Like today.
These
you know
days.
what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I think I think with the fidelity of textures and whatnot, we've lost the ability to appreciate the high quality 3D renders that kind of inhabit that middle ground between AAA and lower budget games.
This was the bridge to Uncharted in a way.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, this was a bridge to a lot of things.
Right.
I think
It was a long bridge to get there, but
this was a bridge to Scott Pilgrim versus the World or something. I don't know.
Jesus,
Like this game made us hate beat 'em ups for so long that beat 'em ups stopped existing for a while.
until the Devil May Cry branch broke off. So we got to get into the game. Chris,
Yeah.
The prologue is in the instruction manual. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, I want to hear it, but before we talk about the instruction manual, I
Yeah.
want to talk about the bouncer logo. Did you notice all the text in the bouncer logo?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is where I mentioned before the seamless battle action stuff that was in that, was it the TGS demo?
TGS demo, yeah, 99.
So in this part of the bouncer logo, which is the upper part in like a text box above it, it said that's where it said seamless battle action, but they fucking dropped that shit because this game is not seamless. But now it has some lore. So this is your first exposure to the bouncer lore. It says, Sion, a man haunted by a tragic past. Within him lies strength and kindness, but also great sorrow. All this will change when he meets a girl named Dominique. These are the residents of Dog Street.
Capital letters, Gothic font.
Yes, all the way, all caps, Dog Street. I love it. It's great. I don't know if it's accurate, but it's great.
Can I share an anecdote with you, Chris?
Yes, sure.
So when Chris sold this game, it upset me, and I bought him a new copy of the game.
Yeah.
And then I think 2 years ago for his birthday, I bought Chris the Japanese version of the game.
Yeah.
And I gave him an index card first that had that exact dialogue he just read on it. And I remember him reading it, Chris reading it, just going, no, no, and then opened it up.
Yeah.
And then Chris, last year for your birthday, what did you get?
I got the PAL version, right?
So you have 3 copies of the Bouncer.
Yes, they're all right here. Those of us on the RealNet that are watching on the RealNet tonight, here's all 3 of my copies of the Bouncer. I actually took the Japanese copy out of the shrink wrap yesterday.
Congratulations.
In order to check
That's
out the
good.
manual. I got my warranty card here and
That's
all kinds
great.
of cool stuff. Yeah.
Complete in box, folks.
Yeah.
$20.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that, Eric.
Jesus.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Just want you to have stuff you can take care of and enjoy, Chris.
Yes, I am enjoying it. It all led to this moment, right?
Yes. We've been building to this for 9 years.
Yes.
So the prologue. The Mikado building, the heart of the Mikado International mega corporation, overlooks Dog Street. The bars located on this dangerous street are always guarded by bouncers.
The Bouncers.
The Bouncer.
Sion, Ku, is it Ku? Ku?
I called him Ko.
Ko?
Yeah, because there's a U in that.
Sion, Ko, and Volt are three such men working to protect their bar, Fate, from troublemakers. Recently, Dominique, a young girl Sion found lost in the city, has become a kind of mascot for Fate. No one knows where she came from or who she really is. Time passes uneventfully for them until one day, Dominique is abducted by Mikado Special Forces.
Nice.
What are Mikado's motives? Why was Dominique taken? What is her secret? Will Sion, Ko, and Volt be able to rescue Dominique? It's going to be a long night for these three. So, Chris, turn your PS2 on.
I turn my PS2 on. The first thing I see is the PS2 noise, right?
Right.
Yeah, and then I select this game from the... I'm playing this off a hard drive, so it's very hard for me to remember like the whole PS2 experience because I don't...
Putting the disc in.
Yeah. But yes.
The text on the screen is too low res to read on my CRT, even with component video. But it boots into like the screen with the bouncer logo that you read earlier.
Yeah.
Then we get to some choices. New game, a load game, extra game.
Extra game. Yeah, this game's got like a survival mode and a multiplayer mode.
Versus mode up to 4 players.
Yeah, you can even use the multi-tap on this motherfucker.
Yes.
So it's great.
Thrill kill and Wu-Tang before it's or after its time.
Yeah, and I want to talk briefly before we select new game about what happens when we select new game or what my mentality was. When I was selecting new game.
You just bought a brand new game.
Yeah.
It's got a button that says new game.
But yeah, it says new game, but on the back of the box it says play the action movie, which is a very coy way of Square or whoever wrote this copy saying, guys, don't forget, this is just a movie. It's not a game. Because the movies are an hour and a half long. Games are not. You're playing the action movie, guys. I started to adjust my expectations at that point in time when I originally played this because the play the action movie I think was in a lot of the marketing.
Yeah, it's calibrating expectations.
Yes, but it slowly lowered them from a length standpoint.
Did you want David Cage to pop up and say thank you for supporting interactive drama?
This is definitely some fucking interactive drama, Eric. Yes. So what happens next?
Intro movie. We see the DFBC DRF broadcasting company.
Yes.
Mimi Woods, the newscaster, states Mikado, the company heading the International Space Project, is launching an additional solar-powered generator satellite.
Yeah, fun fact about Mimi Woods.
Yeah?
The voice actress for Mimi Woods, at least according to Moby Games, is Mimi Woods.
Oh, they actually just put her...
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
So we're also going to do open spoilers here because it conceals the identity of the next person you see, but we know who that is, and this is a
kind of important character.
A comprehensive podcast.
Yeah, a comprehensive podcast about the bouncer. So the newscast shows on the screen a blonde-haired, handsome man.
Yes.
Duragon C. Mikado.
Duragon, powerful name.
Yes, indeed. And then it zooms out, and we're actually looking at somebody watching this. It's on a CRT, I think, and there's a tea kettle sitting next to it. It's on somebody's desk.
Someone later revealed to be Co's contact at Lucas, Leanne, is typing on a laptop. We see a demo explaining satellite technology.
Yes.
Between this, Leanne tracks Dominique approaching the Fate bar. This seems like a rough place for a 15-year-old. Leanne runs some computer hacks, then says,
"Damn it, they beat us to it?"
Yes.
The video game is cursing.
Yes, indeed. Do you want to continue on with the newscaster part?
Sure.
The newscaster continues on. It's kind of cutting back between these two sequences. Mimi says,
First, an Earth-based station transmits a guidance signal. Upon receiving the signal, the satellite uses a large mirror to generate electricity from solar power. The electricity is then converted to microwave radiation and sent down to the ground station. The ground station then converts the microwave radiation back to electricity, which can then be used for general purposes. The question is, do we need such a costly energy program during this time of recession?
Then we cut back to the computer screen. When Leanne goes and checks her computer, it says transmission from Lucas, Lukis, input password, and it says to Leanne Caldwell. So you can actually get her name here if you pay close attention.
Couldn't make that out.
Yeah, and then that's at the point when she zooms in. I think you already said this, but she zooms in on the map of Dog Street, and she can see it using some sort of thing that's Google Maps, but not Google Maps, and it eventually switches into satellite photography, in which she is sort of honing in on this young girl wearing a man in the yellow hat coat and Mega Man boots, is how I would describe her, Dominique Cross. And then there's a bunch of coding gibberish on the screen. Did you notice that?
Elite hacks.
Once the code is translated, it says, headed for the Fate bar on Dog Street. Mikado Corporation is on the move.
A helicopter flies through the air over a residential area. We get credits between in-engine cutscenes.
Yes, it's awesome.
Of course, Nomura is listed first. So that's when you see silver soldiers drop into a residential house head first. This is hilarious.
When you first saw those things pop out of the helicopter, what did you think they were?
Drones of some kind.
Yeah, they're actually like drop suit exoskeletons, which are kind of cool. I've never seen anything quite like this in any other sort of fiction. They're like drop suit exoskeletons that have like ninja soldiers inside them.
I would just redo the tech on that so they don't land head first. It seems like it could be potentially damaging to things with organic brains.
But when they open up, they are the soldiers are standing
standing up.
Quite upright, yes. And they're launched through a roof of a house.
They see a picture of Sion and Dominique. They all jump through the window, then 3-point land on the street below. It starts to snow, and they stand on a roof and look at the residential nightlife milling about the town and the area below.
The leader,
Mugetsu?
Yeah, this guy we'll come to find out later is Mugetsu. He is very obviously like the main character of the scene because he's got this like sort of silvery anime kind of hair sticking straight out of the back, and his face isn't totally covered.
He's in a leather daddy mask.
Yeah, and he's also got some goggles which seem to have some sort of, I don't know, like T-800 technology in it.
Yeah, I put Terminator vision, so that tracks.
Yeah, and
he looks for faces identified on the computer.
Yeah, did you notice too that when they kind of got out of their exoskeleton suits that they were in a child's room?
Yes.
Like there was a sock hanging out of the drawer.
Yeah,
and
it was Dominique's room.
Yeah, a train set. So there's some things communicated there.
He then finds his target. All the robo-ninjas Naruto run across rooftops.
Yes.
Jumping up and down on them excessively as they make their way down to the streets below.
Yes.
Then we cut to a girl in yellow. What'd you call her? A man in the red?
The man
Curious
in the
George's
yellow hat.
father.
Yeah, Curious George's father. She's got his coat on, I think.
We cut to Dominique in a yellow coat running along the streets below. She checks her watch and I check her dumb hat. She runs past a bar. A man with silver devil horns and a tight biker jacket with no shirt checks his watch. This is Volt.
Yes.
Dominique walks up to him and says,
"What's with the sour face? You're scaring away the customers."
Quick note on Dominique. She is voiced by Bridget Ellen Hoffman, Eric, who her most famous credit, at least that I recognized on the internet, was the voice of Cosmos in Xenosaga Episode 3.
3 only.
Yes. I don't think anyone ever walks into this bar in this entire game, but the potential customers, everyone on the street, they're all wearing North Face. All of them are wearing North Face vests.
Really?
Yes. I mean, it's not branded that
puffy
way.
vests were like at the time pretty good, right?
Yeah.
They were in they come back every 8 years.
Yeah, they're all,
Volt's like, I'm just doing my job.
Yeah, Volt looks to me, like when I first saw him, I couldn't remember his name. I wrote down there is a Zell man with devil horns. Did you notice his devil horns?
Yeah, it'll be revealed later, but he was kind of shot and left for dead at a certain point, and he got those tattoos and horns to cover up his facial scars to kind of change his identity.
Yeah, so at this bar, Volt is definitely
the bouncer.
They're all the bouncer, Chris.
Yes, I know. This motherfucker does look like a Volt too. Like he looks like his name would be Volt.
The camera pans around as Dominique enters Fate, and this angle reveals that Volt's jacket has a no smoking logo except instead of a cigarette, it's a cactuar.
Yes, no smoking the cactuar here. Nobody do it.
Volt notes this is weird weather for spring because it's snowing, Chris.
Also, something unique about Volt. Actually, this applies to all the bouncers. All of them.
In the bouncer.
They're all wearing jackets with no shirts underneath of them.
Very Triple H.
And Volt's jacket doesn't cover his whole like midriff. It's very upsetting. It's not upsetting. It's kind of badass, actually.
I don't know that you expect Nomura to design characters that have clothes that fit appropriately.
Yeah. This is our first really great injection of Nomura, I think, in terms of in-game characters. Like, I know he did the Final Fantasy VII characters, and they're pretty wacky, but they weren't rendered like this, like we're getting like all the chains and all the belts and all the spikes. They're all here because of the glorious PlayStation 2 graphics.
Just then, ninjas jump over the rooftop in front of Volt, but then we cut to inside the bar.
Yep.
Dominique waves hi to her boss, who is also the bartender, and this guy owns the bar. We'll later come to find out.
Also in the bar, there's a car.
Yes. Like in Nortune, there's just a car.
I wrote down the license plate number for some goddamn reason. It's SURZ460.
Fuck yeah. Well, Chris, if you've been to local place Spinelli's, there's a goddamn car in there.
That's true. It's only like half a car, though, right?
Yeah, it's half a car. You can sit in it and eat.
Yeah, that's true.
So my first question is Dominique employed here?
It's weird. She's familiar with everybody. She calls the bartender boss.
She's supposed to be the bar's mascot.
Yeah, and that's a way to dehumanize somebody quickly.
Dominique goes to the top floor where a tattooed guy, Ko,
he's in a vest. He's got no shirt on, by the way. And he also has extreme 9 Inch Nails energy, I think.
Yes, he's got a myriad tattoos that look like Nomura didn't go far enough when designing Zell, so he just amplified the tribal tattoos.
Actually, that's probably 100% accurate. His body tattoos are a natural extension of Zell's face tattoos.
Yeah, and we'll later learn that Ko is in deep cover, and all the tattoos are part of his cover.
Yeah, something that's kind of interesting about this game is that you only get the the bits and pieces of lore about Ko's or the organization that he works for if you play as him, which is
if you play as him, and then in between on loading screens there are conversations that fill out backstory too.
Yeah. So as soon as he retorts to the hold on, what question was he asked? I guess Dominique just greets him.
You're looking busy, Ko.
Hey, if we're not doing anything, it means the bar's doing just fine, right, Sion?
Yeah.
And as soon as he retorts, I immediately recognize that Spike Spiegel / Steve Blum voice, and it's like it made me want to play as him initially, even though I ended up playing as Sion for the entire game for content. But such a great voice.
And then Ko is speaking to Sion, box cover Proto-Sora man.
Yeah.
They're relaxing and consuming alcohol at work, just like me.
Yeah. He's leaning in a chair with his feet up on the table, and I think he's asleep.
Yeah.
Dominique wakes him up.
Sion has a belt for a necklace. Sion tells Dominique she's late, and she responds by asking him the date of his birthday.
He's like, why do you want to know that? So his, how'd you describe that?
Proto-Sora?
No, the necklace thing.
He has a belt for a necklace?
A belt, yeah. He's got, it's a huge, it's like a choker around his neck, but there's a huge fucking...
Like Celtic...
pendulum or something around his neck. It's insane. Now, can we talk about his hoodie too?
Yeah, sure.
His hoodie's fucking awesome. His hoodie is, let me see here. It's red, yellow, black. There's some blue in there as well. And on the back, a dog and crossbones.
Yes.
And it says Dog Street.
My guy reps Dog Street. Do you don't tell me which street you work on because you can dox you easily, but would you rep the street that you work on?
No.
Which is now your home street? My guy loves Dog Street.
6th Street, yes. Meet me there sometime.
So Sion asks her why she asked his birthday, but then Volt comes up the stairs and tells Sion it's time for his shift as
the bouncer.
All of this shit is disconnected. Nothing makes sense. These all feel like unrelated automatons dropped into the same amusement park ride. Ko notes this was 1 year ago today. Sion came to this bar and started a giant brawl fest.
Yeah, did you notice that in the subtitles that brawl fest was all one word, all lowercase?
Fuck yeah.
And Microsoft Word did not like that, but I added it to dictionary. Don't worry.
Good job. I think in Sion's backstory, he had like some lady troubles and came here in like self-destruct mode, and they ended up employing him as a bouncer once they humanized him a bit. So, Chris, there's a poster in this bar with a guy in a Venetian mask, and it says "Boo Boo Bros."
Yeah, I at first thought it said "Bros, Bros, Bros," which
even better.
Kind of sets the tone for this game a little bit,
Chris,
but it doesn't.
Excusing the gender implications there, is this what we're calling the real net for this very special episode of Retrograde Amnesia?
I'm literally going to put that at the beginning of the podcast. Like, that's going to be there.
So, Chris, do you know what this means? Today is your first anniversary as a bouncer. It means Dominique got Sion a necklace.
Yeah.
Sion. Just then, something happens.
Yes, there's some rustling going on. There's ninjas that jump through. Is it glass ceiling?
It's a skylight.
Okay, I was wondering because it reminded me of Michael Keaton Batman.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Definitely channeled it. They crash through it. The frame is divided with 4 real-time action shots from each character.
Yes.
What a cool shot, but we can only pick 3.
Yeah.
I wonder if that, like, Dominique was still playable at that point and they just didn't reanimate the shit.
Yeah.
And we can pick. So what you do before every action sequence, you can pick one of 3 characters.
Yes.
It only really makes sense narratively and character buildingly, which isn't a word, but now it is, for you to pick the same one every time, but you get a choice.
Yeah, I actually kind of remembered from back in the day of this game having issues with balance if you kind of mix and match your bouncers.
Yes.
And you end up being underleveled for later parts.
Yeah,
So,
we'll go over character building as it comes.
I chose Sion Barzod.
I played through this game 3 times and chose all 3 of them.
Great.
Let me read you the descriptions of everyone.
Yes.
Sion Barzod, age 19, height 5'9". He's a bouncer at a bar called Fate. After losing his girlfriend 2 years ago, Sion closed off his heart. But Dominique's bright and warm heart is beginning to open him up again. Silver accessories are his trademark. Sion loves Dog Street.
Yes. His favorite brand of clothing is Dog Street. It says in the manual.
The next character is Volt Krueger.
Yes.
27 years old. Old as shit.
Yeah.
6'4". Fighting style, Power Pro Wrestling. His taunt is stolen from DX. Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Yes.
He's a bouncer at a bar called Fate. Speaks little. Volt seems to know a lot about the Mikado group. His trademark facial piercings make people more afraid of him than necessary. Spoilers, Volt used to be a Mikado enforcer and has the facial piercings to cover up scars. I think we talked about that.
Cool.
He was framed for an assassination attempt on Mikado's murder. And finally, we have Ko LeFaux. Am I saying LeFaux right, Chris? Captain French?
I'll take it.
Age 25, height 6'1", fighting style Taekwondo.
Oh, wrong.
His taunt is whistling. Bouncer at a bar called Fate, easily excited and a bit smooth talker, Ko lightens the mood around his friends. Not just a smooth talker, Ko is a great fighter too. And spoilers, he's undercover at Lucas and got all these dumb tattoos to blend in as part of the operation.
Oh,
The bouncer will differ slightly depending on which character is selected. And then the 9th level of this game is unique for every character.
yeah.
So I picked Scion first, so did Chris. So when you pick somebody, before the fight starts, they have a unique sign-in line, and when the fight's over, they have a unique sign-off line as well. He tells Dominic to get back, and he starts to beat ass as me.
Yes, I lost the first time I played this.
Congratulations, Chris.
Guess what? This is the only battle, at least from what I can tell, that you can lose, and the game will continue.
Oh, it just keeps going?
Yeah.
Like you don't get game over? Well, I guess
Yeah.
you haven't saved yet. You can't reload a save.
Yeah.
So when you pick a character, a lot of the time, when you're not fighting a boss, it plays their theme song as they fight. So now we're hearing Sion Biohazard.
Sion Barzo. I love this.
We're
is
hearing
my,
his theme.
This is my favorite song in the game. That's one thing about this game's soundtrack is it has a pretty good soundtrack, but
Pretty good.
never the game never lingers on any one scene long enough to actually experience the whole song.
Yeah, these songs are usually 3 to 4 minutes long, and you do most big fights and boss fights in about 45 seconds.
Yeah, yeah.
So these ninja guys are called MSF, and I'm smashing them all in this upper bar area. Never mind, they are laying me the fuck out.
Yeah.
I ragdoll on the ground constantly. Shit. Want to talk about fighting guys in this game, Chris? There are pressure-sensitive buttons.
Yeah, this was a novel concept for the time. And
Yes.
guess what, Eric? It's still a novel concept because it died shortly after.
Evolution. I think it was carried into PS3, but I don't think it made it to PS4.
Yeah, I think you're right. The only other game I remember that it using was like Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo did, a Metal Gear Solid 2 did for pulling a gun and pressing the
Oh yeah,
trigger.
you're right. Yeah, that was one that you had to get right in order to actually play that game. This game you can kind of mash, but not really. But
It makes these games hard to emulate.
oh yeah, that's a very good point. It's difficult too because you may expect like some combo to be like medium attack, medium attack, medium attack, but it's actually like hard or light and alternating between there, and it's really hard to adjust the level of pressure. But speaking of the buttons, you want to talk about the buttons?
Yeah.
This game has buttons.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So triangle is a high attack, correct?
Right.
Square is a medium attack, and X is a low attack. In the
For
case
low
of,
enemies.
Yes, in the case of Sion, he does like a low sweep on a light press on there. The circle move is a jumping move, which is usually a move that takes a little bit longer to wind up and does higher damage.
It really sets you up to get your ass kicked.
There's also a button L1, right?
Right.
Right.
Which is the ES button, which I believe stands for extra skill. And as you go through this game, you can unlock abilities to where you hold that button down and press a corresponding button, and you can do some pretty cool tricks that way.
Cheese moves.
Yes. There's also a button for like combo attacks with your partners, which I didn't know until I was reading the manual after I beat the game.
You're talking about the Trinity attack, Chris.
Yes, not the Trinity sight system, excuse me.
So what you'll hear is you'll hear Ko whistle, or whenever someone does their taunt, it's a sign they're ready for Trinity attack. You press that button, you do the attack. I got it to work once across 3 playthroughs. So
Really? Wow, okay.
Not especially useful.
Yeah.
The bouncer actually isn't bad on your 4th round through when you have all of this shit unlocked. It plays like a fighting game. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Weird.
The other thing that you become painfully aware of in these first couple of fights is the fact that your teammates will steal your kills and take all your BP, which I assume BP stood for battle points, but Eric, it doesn't stand for battle points. It stands
way,
for
dude.
Bouncer.
points. If you are fighting an enemy and one of your teammates comes up and just knocks that dude, gets final hit on that thing, it's like fucking Dota.
Yes.
And it takes all of your experience.
You are fighting not only the opponents, you are fighting your fellow
Bouncer.
to kill them first.
Yeah, it's...
Because you can get a drastic
Bouncer.
point shortage if you just sit back and let them get all the last hits.
Yeah, it's fucking sucks, man.
So, oh shit, we walk down the stairs and kick ass in the main part of the bar. The fucking car is this Kislev from Xenogears. Also, there's a red X on the background, which if you're us, you see red X as Xenogears. And
Yes.
Chris found a very curious fact when looking through the Moby Games listing of personnel in this game. Chris, who was background supervisor?
Tetsuya Takahashi,
Isn't that
our
weird?
friend. It is weird, because this is shortly after Xenogears.
Yes.
My headcanon is like, he's kind of sitting around waiting for somebody to greenlight Xenogears 2, and they're like, no, sorry, Spirits Within, etc. Work on backgrounds for now. And then he worked on, because he has a background in graphics.
That's my question. Does background supervisor mean literally the backgrounds, or does background of the game supervise the background elements? I have no idea.
I would say the graphics, just because that's his background, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And that's where he was. But he left Square shortly after this, so we don't really know how much involvement he had in the game. But I choose to believe that he put a red X in the background of this bar.
It's not the same font, but it's definitely a red X.
Yeah.
So I tried to attack the car and then the pinball machine, and nothing happens. The video lied to me.
Yes. Fuck this. Yeah, this is where that famous table scene was.
I guess destructible environments hadn't been invented yet. So that after I win, I get experience points.
Yes.
You power up 3 things: life, power, or defense, or unlock special moves.
Bouncer points, yes.
I only got 100 points. This shit costs 200. Thanks for nothing, the bouncer.
Yes.
So, Chris, did you look up so life is obvious, power is how hard you hit. Do you know what defense points are?
Defense points?
Yeah.
I think it's the number of blocks you can do. I didn't realize there was a finite number of blocks until later in the game.
Right. You can only block so many times, and it's not listed on the screen. You got to kind of keep track of it in your head. Scion will stand up from getting his ass kicked and scream Dominique's name. Dominique! Chris, if you're Ko, he'll stand up and say,
"This isn't good."
If you're Volt, he'll look back and say,
"They weren't after me."
Huh.
So everybody has different reasons for thinking why Mikado is here.
Yeah, interesting.
Then we get new music. The Escape plays.
Yes, this song's played a lot throughout the game, I think.
Most of the songs are played a lot throughout the game.
Well, yeah, the soundtrack's not very long. So this scene here, Dominique she's getting cornered in the bar by the main ninja guys as the bouncers continue to fight more enemies in the cutscene environment.
Yes.
He tries to punch her, misses, but then he puts her in a rear naked chokehold.
Yes. And then what does he do? He falls backward through a window.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Sion is trying to run up the stairs to try to catch up to him, but he gets knocked down the stairs, and then he just jumps. The main ninja guy, Mugetsu, jumps out of the window as Dominique screams.
Then the 7th best part of this game. Sion side punches a railing in disgust, then we get a title card.
Yeah, the title card comes out of nowhere. And it says the bouncer. Well, not out loud, but it says the bouncer and all the stuff that goes along with that.
New music. I don't know. It's not on the fucking soundtrack plays.
I feel like they got it from a sound library, because it's just like
it's a jukebox track.
Yeah, a jukebox lazy bar track with old timey time pianos playing.
The camera zooms in on the jukebox and surveys the newly fucked bar.
Yeah.
Our heroes approach the window and wonder who that was. Volt says they were from Mikado, while Ko notes that Volt is awfully well informed.
Yes.
Sion immediately wants to go to Mikado, but Ko slows his roll and says he has connections. He needs to look into it first. Ko takes out a cellular phone and dials a phone number.
Yeah, now, I did find this out later that you can only hear his conversation if you're playing as him.
This is true. I may have that conversation.
Yes.
He tells me he needs to check on something fast. He somehow gets a time and then says to leave right away, but if you're Ko, as Chris said, the voice will respond back. It's Leanne, the woman using the laptop in the intro movie.
Right.
She says she's in a hurry, and she can't believe Ko let this happen. She tells Ko there's special MSD cargo train leaving on the central station in 30 minutes. She will be there to back up Ko in the Orage. Chris, what's the Orage?
The Orage?
It's a VTOL aircraft?
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to see that she pilots an aircraft later, so that must be it. Okay,
Also, I don't know about other cities, but here MSD means Metropolitan Sewer District, so that's especially funny.
Yeah, it messed me up a little bit, a couple times.
Ko tells the gang he found a special train that's going to leave from Mikado in half an hour. First-time players will not know if Mikado is a person, place, or thing.
Yeah, we're moving very quickly in this game, and I don't think it's... I think if this game wanted to linger a little bit on some of this stuff, it would have, but I just don't think it's there.
The cinematic beat him up.
Yeah.
Sion runs down the stairs at lightning speed, while Volt speculates that Sion has a heart after all, or at least he does when it comes to Dominique.
Yeah. Now...
Dominique's 15.
This is the first time we see a loading screen with the background information that you mentioned before. I was curious about if my game was loading more quickly than a disc was because of
the hard drive
that you gave me.
OPL.
Thanks, Eric. But I did when I was looking for other information, I found somebody saying on GameFAQs that they can't read it.
It's too low res to read and it's too fast.
Yeah. It looked okay on this LCD TV, but it's too fast to read.
Move on to stage 2, Central Square.
Mm-hmm.
Snow is falling as the gang runs outside. We can hear footsteps.
Yes.
As they pass a vendor stand called Cat Burger.
Yeah, I wonder a lot about Cat Burger.
Me too. What the fuck does it serve? What are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it like a rival to Dog Street? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, this is the real fault of this game is like, I want to know more about Dog Street and Cat Burger. I don't care about all this sci-fi stuff we're about to get into. Like, if this game would have just... taken a step back and told us more about Dog Street and why does it need 3 bouncers that are all amazing fighters and all this kind of stuff. These are the things I want to know.
Is there also Gorilla Street?
Yeah.
Is there Orangutan Street? I want to know all this stuff.
It's also worth mentioning that this entire town is like paved with cobblestone streets. It kind of looks like
it's calm.
A place you would want to live, maybe? It's a nice snowy...
I don't know. I mean, there's an entire economy. We're about to see 3 bouncers take down, like, SpaceX in a second.
Yeah. For sure. Like, I'm saying at this point in time, it's like, this is a nice little town.
New music. Nervousness plays.
Yes, I'm very nervous as well. Now, did you notice, too, that Ko here, as the gate is beginning to slamming shut, he gives weird, like, Tekken 2 CG looks, I think. Like, this man is full of weird, like, facial expressions. And I guess the
This is all in-engine, right? There's not a lot of CG.
Yeah.
Right.
And the in-engine facial animation is probably not bad at this time.
It was great for its time.
Yeah, but now it looks funny. And I'm always I always slip into an uncanny valley a little bit whenever I'm looking at like Tetsuya Nomura artwork and a character has their mouth open and you can see their row of like one long tooth.
Oh, their tooth bar, yeah.
Yeah, that bothers me. It's in a lot of his concept art as well, and it always distracts me.
Everybody had tooth bars at the time. Man.
Yeah, it's very prevalent in this game, and it's funny.
So before the fight, Ko will say, I hate doing extra work. Volt says, today's not your lucky day, punks. Volt's theme plays as I fight these guys this time.
Yeah.
I beat them up in a town square. I get 25 BP for each one that I kill.
Yes.
But I only do 2 of them while my bros handle the rest, god damn it.
Now, being a big fan of Air Guy's God Bless the Ring.
God bless the ring.
I wanted to be able to work on some like ragdoll physics juggles at this point in time.
Yes.
But my friends kept stealing all my kills. Then I realized that I don't have an opportunity to do that because I figured out with Sion, if you do some sort of medium combo, you can do a launching uppercut. And then if you time it right, you can kind of get a couple of other hits in.
This game has infinites if you time it well enough.
But you don't really get a good opportunity to experiment with that because of the goddamn kill stealing.
So after you beat these guys, Sion notes that we've wasted enough time on these jokers. Ko will dust his hands and say they have bigger fish to fry. Oh shit, they have fish in this world. Volt will wonder what Mikado Special Forces are doing here. So the third time I played this, Chris, I had a funny thing happen.
Yeah?
I didn't know you could go up those stairs that are off to the right in this sequence. And on my third trip here, I couldn't find the last guy to kill and couldn't look around because the camera is this fucking camera. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Ko's dead body slide down the steps because it's a ramp, and then later found Sion punching the air and a ninja doing stationary kicks next to him.
Great. Great video game.
But yeah, the camera, there's no right stick control. This is the cinematic beat 'em up, and it's always controlled for you. The game knows better than you do, of course.
I think this game too, with these first 2 battles, gives off a pretty bad impression from the way combat is going to be, because the battles are very quick. They're like 45 seconds cutscene
tops,
and there's not much time to be in control of the character and experiment with the moveset. I mean, you'll get a little bit more time later, but at first I'm like, whoa, what is this?
The gang comes together in a sweet triangle overhead shot by a fountain.
Yeah.
The cinematic beat 'em up.
Of course.
But then they rush off to a gate and then stop. Volt asks why. Then the camera pans up to reveal the Panther Demon from Chrono Cross stalking them on the archway above.
This is not my favorite line in the game, but this is one of my favorite lines in the game.
This is the best line in the game.
I've got a contender.
Okay,
it's at the very
later.
end. It's at the very end.
What does Volt say?
You recognize that Black Panther?
No.
Yes, Sion, if he recognizes that Black Panther as if it's a normal occurrence to see a Black Panther running through a town with cobblestone streets.
You know what my theory this is here?
Yeah.
There should only be dogs on Dog Street. Panther Street is over from Panther Street.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, we can't linger on that. Ko tells Sion they have to get going or else they will miss the train. Chris, Volt will say, I know who that Panther is, because he does.
Oh, yeah, he does. And we will too at some point in this game.
Stage 3, train station. The gang runs through another alleyway but stops short of the turnstiles. Sion notes that rent-a-cops are on patrol, while Volt says that security is tight. The rent-a-cops notice us, and it's time for a fight. It's time to beat up the police.
This is the first time I noticed this game as the bouncers are running through the train station and jumping over the turnstiles.
Yeah.
The motion blur stuff in this game.
There's some good motion blur. Yes, the PS2 had no built-in anti-aliasing.
Yes.
And this was a way to kind of mask the jagged artifacts of some more crude cutscenes, I think.
Yeah, that's true. It looks really smooth.
So, Sion says,
You think I'm gonna tell you?
Ko says, we're hitching a ride is what we're doing. And Volt says, oh, like you'd let us through if we tell you, because they asked you, what the fuck are you all doing?
Yeah.
So then you beat these guys. After the battle, Sion will say they don't need tickets.
The gang jumps the turnstiles because bouncers are only paid in bouncer points.
We make it to the train platform as the car comes into the station. The fake cops run through it and challenge us again.
Yes, time to beat up more cops.
The gang decides it's time, so they start to jump on the train right as it starts to take off.
When you hear the whistle, start booking for the train. Don't miss your cue.
And I wonder if we have to do this in this video game, the bouncer.
Yes.
Sion will say,
You're not getting paid enough to die. Now get out of my way!
And then character theme plays. I beat these guys up. If you kill them consecutively, you get a bonus.
Yeah, chain bonus. I didn't get one until later in the game, but I did at this point in time get enough to unlock my first skill with Sion, which was the Buster Throw.
Buster Sword.
Yeah.
So if you watch the TGS video, you will see something significantly different from what was actually delivered right here.
Yeah, I mentioned this earlier. It's Sion fighting a couple of the cops, and as soon as he downs them, he starts running towards the train, and jumping on with the bouncers with like no additional cuts there. But I don't think we get any of that because
it cuts and they're on the back of the train.
Yeah.
In every TGS cutscene, they punch like 5 people, then run to the next sequence.
Yes.
And now we're on to stage 4. Stage 4, MST cargo train. We start off with alarm bells.
Yeah, bells are sounding. The train's headlights come on as it begins to take off, and everything here, I think the train is rendered in the real-time engine as well, and it looks so smooth.
Yes.
Ko, as the train starts moving through the tunnels, Ko says that this fucking thing is probably carrying rocket fuel.
Yes, for that shuttle launch everybody's been talking about.
Yes, and it's that's a crutch this game will lean on for the next couple of sequences.
So Sion, his next line of dialogue seems unrealistic and stupid, but really he's usually onto something. He asks for some reason if Dominique is on this train.
Yeah.
Which Volt politely tells Sion that Special Forces kidnapped her and she's already at Mikado by now.
They don't need no train.
Right. Ko again, though, asks Volt why Volt knows so much.
Yep.
Before he can respond, we get another alarm.
Yeah.
They know we're here.
Of course. And then this is funny because these security guards don't have private lines. They announce their plans over the loudspeaker.
Yes.
And say that there's an intruder alert, etc.
We may have intruders in the last car. Investigate it once. Remember, no guns. We're transporting rocket fuel.
In all these, like this dialogue specifically, you'll listen to it.
Yeah.
Definitely sounds like they just pulled some guy out of the back to do it as opposed to voice actors.
Oh, yeah. They also conveniently announced that we cannot use guns because this thing is carrying rocket fuel.
Right, Alien 2 rules.
And this reminds me of in the original dub of Dragon Ball Z when like Vegeta blew up a fucking plane or something, like off screen somebody would go, "I'm so happy he parachuted off of there."
Oh,
and
yeah, he lived.
Yeah, it's fine.
The overhead address addresses someone named Echidna specifically. The camera then zooms in on Echidna's mouth, like that shot of the DJ in The Warriors.
Yes.
She says, Roger.
Roger.
Echidna
yokai.
is then fully revealed.
You got that, Echidna?
Roger.
She's wearing a tiny skirt with a feather boa and an orange bikini top.
Her hair has some interesting symmetry as well.
Devil horns on the top and the bottom.
Yeah, it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's very weird.
Dangling over her collarbones.
Yeah, she says, "We've got company. They're stowaways. Make sure you give them an appropriate welcome."
I wonder if she's related to Knuckles, the only other Echidna that I've ever heard of.
That's true. Now, they do the blur stuff with the boob physics when she points ahead. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This game's got boob physics.
It's upsetting.
Yeah.
It's
not as bad as like Dead or Alive was at the time. It's more present than offensive, but it's definitely there.
Yeah, yeah. So I labeled this woman Echidna as mini boss number 2. I'm assuming Mugetsu is mini boss number 1. She's mini boss number 2.
Back at the back of the car, Ku says they're going to freeze out here because it's snowing for some reason.
Yeah.
Dudes then rush us, and Sion says there's no point in hiding.
Yeah. At this point in time, we fight some more, and we get to fight 2 train cars worth of bad guys.
So, Chris, we fight on a moving train. This is mind-blowing for 2001, because remember when Uncharted 2, you fought on the moving train, and it was this big revolution?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, that was way more complex, but to fight on a stationary object against the moving background was some fucking shit.
Yeah, it looks great. Unfortunately, there's no wind physics that are being used here. We're just... It's all window dressing.
You also can't kick them off the train.
Yeah, which is very upsetting.
Ko, interestingly, will say, better take him out before my backup gets here if you play as him, which implies that backup is on its way.
Yeah, there's a couple of instances where when characters mention something that make a fight feel time sensitive when I don't think it actually is.
There is one time sensitive instance in this game.
Yes.
We're coming up on it.
Yeah.
We get to the end, car. Echidna then says,
If you don't have a ticket, you're gonna have to pay. And this ride ain't cheap.
No ticket.
Sion asks Echidna where she took Dominique. Before she can ask Sion what the hell he's talking about, Volt tells Echidna it's nice to see her again.
Yep.
Echidna recognizes Volt, but thought she finished him off. Volt says,
Indeed, but I'm not the Volt you once knew. Now it's your turn to take a trip to hell.
Yeah.
Echidna says she'll finish him off this time along with his friends as we get new music.
Yes, Not I the Bouncer. I have something to say about this Echidna. Let's
Echidna's
fight.
theme plays.
Yes, Echidna's theme is pretty good. Echidna, her fighting style, Eddie Gordo style, right? Yes.
Capoeira?
Yes.
Capoeira?
It's pronounced capoeira.
Again, I wrote again, I hate how this game makes you compete with your teammates for kills.
She's straight up doing Eddie Gordo.
Eddie Gordo.
And plus, especially boss kills are worth 120 BP. You make sure you kill that boss.
Yeah.
Man. So if you pick Volt, he'll say, come get some Echidna, which is great. And then Ku actually is a little bit sexist and says,
You'd be such a hottie if only you kept your mouth shut.
Jesus. Like, I mean, calling her a hottie is one thing, but then saying she should keep her mouth shut.
Yeah, well, hey, man, 2000, right? It's not an excuse, but that was definitely the norm for shit like that around that point.
Steve Bloom's got to get paid.
After the battle, Echidna is on the ground, head hanged. The gang stands above her. Sion asks what she wants with Dominique. If you're Ko, If you're Ko, he will tell Echidna,
Ko.
You would be such a babe if you weren't trying to kick our butts.
But
Jesus fucking Christ.
my guy's horny. If you're Volt, he will say, what's the matter, Echidna? I'm still standing. Echidna no-sells all questions, except for Volt. She'll tell him he's still a jerk. But then she goes to her default dialogue and says it's not over yet, and she'll teach them a thing or two about a woman's wrath next time they meet.
Yes.
Then what the fuck does she do, Chris?
Well, then she dive bombs off the edge of the train and goes into the water below.
Into open water.
Yeah, it's great.
This could be viewed as a suicide.
It could be, but she's got good form.
She's going to swim home like Matcha. Volt looks down and closes his eyes while Ko's like, hey man, what happened with you two? The question can't be answered because a jet engine is heard overhead, and Volt says they're going to save story time for later.
Yep. The scene then cuts to the train crossing a bridge, but a stealth-looking ass bomber is now closing in. What'd you call this thing?
If you're Ko, he'll say she's here. Whatever on the page on the fake net.
Fuck it.
Initializing fake net.
The Orage.
Shit. Fuck.
The pursuit plays.
Yeah, so it sort of transforms a little bit into like battle mode.
Yeah, it's a VTOL. It goes from a jet engine to a hovercraft.
Yeah, that's what I wrote, battle/VTOL mode, and it heads straight towards the train and then unloads an entire fucking machine gun on the front of this armored train.
It fires like 4 300-round clips at this thing.
Yeah, it takes a while for the train to start taking damage, but eventually it takes some really heavy damage.
Again, the train that's full of rocket fuel you shouldn't be using guns on, but our bouncers don't have guns anyway, so who gives a shit?
Yes. Weird. So back inside the gang.
Yeah, we get inside a car at some point.
Yeah, everyone's shaken up. My controller is vibrating. God damn it, HD Rumble is a thing now, and this feels weird because the controller vibrates very, very harshly in this game.
Well, also, you're playing with a 20-year-old PS2 controller.
Yep, and the generic guards out here cannot believe this shit, and they're about to fight some more, right?
The intercom notes that the brakes have been disabled.
Yes, also true. Sure, why? Okay,
Thanks.
I guess the bullets.
If you're Ko, he'll say, hey, take it easy, woman, be a little bit more gentle.
He also says, I guess in all scenarios, he says, this thing's carrying rocket fuel.
If it slams into the station, we're all going to be a lot warmer.
I feel like that was supposed to hit differently than it did, like a sign-off, almost like an Arnold line, like everybody freeze type shit. That's not really a clever pun to say we're going to be warmer.
Yeah, then Volt says, Volt has played seen a lot of action movies.
Yeah.
We're playing the action movie now. He says we need to detach the last car so we can, be safe.
If you're Ko, he'll ask Leanne if this is a bit overkill because it is Leanne who is piloting this thing.
Yeah.
The train gets more fucked up, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
It flies away right before it makes contact with the train as the train takes the right track. A quick cutaway reveals the smirking face of the female pilot. Back in the train car is the worst part of this game. The gang needs to get a card key to detach the last car, but it's in the engineer's cab. But shit, Chris. Volt says they need to find one in this car.
Yes.
Ko is worried this won't happen. The alarm goes off. It's time to fight or something? You get control for about 20 seconds.
Yeah, this is where you're starting to open up containers and stuff.
Yes, there are 3 containers, none of which are actually marked in this train car.
Yeah.
You have to open up all 3. It's always in the last one. And it feels like you're controlling a runny egg on an oil surface.
Yeah, it's like they remembered to cut a lot of the stuff out of this game that they couldn't get finished before they needed to ship it, and they forgot to cut this part.
I did this 3 times. I failed it every time. No thanks to this whack ass. The camera will switch between the back and front of the car, but they look identical, so you can't tell which one you're in.
Okay, I thought I failed it, but in the game progressed, but maybe I did find it. I got a little confused.
No, if you
here.
fail it, the game will progress. All it does is impose a time penalty on the next level.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't notice that. So yeah, I did fail it then. Okay.
Volt says he doesn't have time for this shit.
Yeah.
An alarm goes off. It cuts to the train entering a tunnel. It cuts back to Sion punching a card reader and saying, damn, when it doesn't work. Ko wants this to be a bad dream. Volt has a plan to jump off as soon as they reach the station. They fucking do it, rolling out of the door as the train is going full speed.
Yeah, it rams into the station, and they did a pretty good job rendering the above ground portion of the station falling into the lower part.
It's a little chunky, but yeah.
It's chunky, but they did it. They tried.
Yeah,
and
it's possible.
Suddenly a bunch of, I don't know if it's seawater or piss water or what, but it starts rushing in from the area in which this explosion just occurred.
Chris, Volt says it's seawater, but what does he know?
Oh, okay. Well,
it's are they underground? What the fuck?
I don't know what the fuck's going on here, but everybody runs up the stairs. And
yes.
Now we are slightly above ground, but then the emergency shutters close.
We're in stage 5, emergency exit.
And the guys keep running as the water continues to chase them.
The escape plays as the rent-a-cops step out to attack us. Ko thinks they must really love their job. No, dude, cops hate their job and also you.
That's true.
Sion says, hey, out of my way as I fight 3 guys in a blowing boot tunnel.
Yes. So now we're at the long and awkward escape sequence, right?
Sure, but Volt has a good line here. He cracks his knuckles and says, run for cover if you want to live.
Sure. Great.
Yeah, now we're in the escape sequence, which is only timed if you failed the last part.
Yeah.
The camera gets in front of Sion like we're playing Crash fucking Bandicoot as he rushes toward the screen to avoid the blast doors.
It's very awkward.
We eventually, like, as you do this, you fight security guards and commanders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then eventually they put crates in front of you as obstacles.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing? What is this? What is the practical purpose for this area?
I don't know. It's very awkward. It also does the thing which I think happened a lot in this generation of games where you're running through one area and the camera switches angles and your fucking analog stick is not it doesn't adjust properly, then you're all suddenly running the wrong way.
Yeah, you'll go back to the same location because it also all looks the same.
Yeah. Nonetheless, I'm still impressed with how this game looks in motion. Mm-hmm. And again, I wrote down make this game again in 2021 but do nothing to the visuals.
They definitely made a playable game out of it.
Yeah.
That's what they did.
Yeah, and if they would have been given more time to do more in this game, it might have come together a little bit nicely.
This was where, when I put my points into power after this fight, I ranked up to F, and you rank up based on the percentage of shit that you've bought for your character, be it upgrades or moves.
Yep.
And that level's over. Now we're on stage 6, Air Carrier.
Yeah, sure. We get to the final door. That's the emergency exit, right?
Yes.
Volt fist bumps the button and the doors open.
Yes.
The gang is now standing outside of a huge facility dock or something.
Military
dock.
base.
Yeah. I've very much lost track of the geography here, and I miss Dog Street, Eric. I want to go back to Dog Street.
Yeah, like as best as I can put it together, the train exclusively is transportation to the Mikado Group base, because while this is the only exit that I don't
know.
Where are we? What is happening?
I don't know. Like, I've only spent like 4 days in New York City, but there is one like train stop that either stops or leaves from just underneath the Museum of Natural History.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Parasite Eve,
right?
And I thought that was cool, and maybe maybe they have that for the
Mikado Group,
Mikado Corporation building or whatever.
Well, not anymore since we blew it up.
Yeah, fuck them.
So Volt notes this thing that we're seeing, this VTOL, this barge is an air carrier, and it must be looking for us.
Yeah. Now, what did you think of this place? Like, I thought that we were inside of like a giant prison facility, but I think we're actually outside, right?
I was thinking Zanzibar land or something.
Yeah, close enough. I don't know. It's it's wild. What it actually is 3 towers with a artificial garden at the top of it.
With some like Fifth Element stuff in between.
Yeah, with a bunch of these floating platform things. I think Volt identifies these things as air carriers.
Yes.
These VTOL platform things.
Sion speculates they can hitch a ride, and Ko sarcastically says this is a wonderful idea, but then they jump on one.
Yeah.
They do it.
They just fucking do it.
The soldiers on this thing ask an important question.
What the hell?
Yeah, a question that we're going to have a lot throughout this game. I thought this was going to be like an endless elevator sequence where like bad guys were going to keep jumping on the air carrier. We're going to get to continually fight them, but we don't actually get that, which unfortunately.
The 3 unique dialogue here, none of them makes sense. Sion will ask, were you looking for us? Ko will say, we're the punks you're looking for, and Volt will apologize and say that he's taking this air carrier.
Yes.
Carrier soldier is our new enemy. They're blue soldier guys.
Yeah.
Ko's theme plays. Why not? We're fighting on another moving thing, Chris.
Yeah, of course.
It's time it's in the air tonight.
Now, at some point in this next part, I unlocked my Torpedo Kick, which is the best move in the game, by the way.
I think the Torpedo, well, for Sion, probably,
yeah. But I love its description in the game. It's,
what is it?
An explosive donkey kick made by rolling to build up momentum. And I was like, my first thought is I'm going to do some sick juggles with this thing, but I could never really do any kind of neat juggles. But it is a very good move, which we'll talk about later.
Now we're on stage 7, Hanging Garden.
Yeah, we're now getting to the Hanging Garden. I didn't know this was called the Hanging Garden until I noticed this on the
save screen.
On the save file.
The saves, yeah, and that's
because
where
I was so confused about where we were, like what the layout of this place was, but it literally is a hanging garden between 3 corporate towers or something. What's your read on like what is Mikado now? Is Sci-Fi Corporation,
Amazon,
Zaibatsu?
Definitely heavy military influence because we see very few actual employees and mostly just armed soldiers.
Is this like a Stark Industries kind of thing where like, except for they're all bad?
Yeah.
Or something maybe?
I think so.
Yeah.
And they just happen to overlook the city's row of bars.
Yeah.
On this thing, Ko will say it's a tough job, isn't it? But so is mine.
Yeah.
Volt will tell the men he just killed dead that it was nothing personal. The guy driving it has no idea any of this is happening. Volt approaches the surprised pilot and tells him to keep flying this thing. The camera then zooms out as this air carrier circles around a nuclear power plant silo of a building.
Yeah.
Approaching the rooftop garden. Sion notices Dominique laid out in a blue lit table.
Yeah, it's very Temple of Doom.
Ko asks the driver to drop them off over there, but what does the driver do?
Well, I wrote that Volt intimidates him with his manly structure, and and the guy just fucking jumps off. He's got a parachute.
He parachutes off.
Yeah.
Volt then struggles to command the craft and it crashes into the rooftop garden, but don't worry, everybody survives.
Yeah, I think Ko made another insane face at this point in time.
Yeah, Ko, it zooms in on his face as crazy shit happens and he makes smirks.
Have you seen that Twitter account called Good Faces?
No.
Oh, well, they post good faces from like in all different kinds of media. And I'm going to submit some Ko faces, yeah.
The gang walks away from the burning wreckage. Ko says he could have 9 lives for this mission and it still wouldn't be enough.
Cat Street, traitor.
Cat Burger. Volt tells Ko to be grateful he's alive. The gang sees a blue dome off in the distance, and they think they should go check it out.
Yeah.
They stumble upon some guard dogs with metal shit on their backs.
Yeah, we're in like an artificial forest here, I guess.
Yeah, it's like, I picture it, a central area to relax on your break at work from murder.
And we noticed this like biodome thing, and we've got to go check that out, right?
Yeah.
And as we confront these robot dogs or something, they've got this like weird like antenna or something that they're being used to control them or something.
They're cyborg dogs.
Please, God, don't make this be a stealth sequence. But just as I say that, our
bouncer
friends are sneaking through the bushes, and Sion accidentally ruffles some bushes.
Yes.
So we don't have to actually do a stealth section. I think that they were planning one here, though, and somebody said, fuck
Absolutely.
it.
We can't do that yet.
Somebody fucking rustle some bushes. So as a result of this rustling, the ninjas emerge from the trees. They kind of like crawl down the trees like spiders.
Dude, yeah. Some of them jump out, and one of them does an inverted slide down a tree trunk.
Yeah.
Very slowly.
They look like putties from Power Rangers, kind of a little bit. Yeah. Now, I don't know what the most obscene or absurd thing I saw in this game was, but one of them was Sion donkey kicking dogs into the sky. Infinitely, like, because I don't think I had leveled my power up that much, so it took a lot of hits to take them out, and I had to like just constantly juggle these dogs into the air. Yeah,
the dogs are interesting because they can't block.
No,
because they're dogs.
They fucking suck. Like I think maybe they're here to maybe try to get you ready for the Panther fight later, but you don't need these dogs.
Ko will actually note these ninjas are faster than the ones they fought back in the city, indicating there's a higher level of security here at Mikado HQ.
Yeah. So of course, after we beat these ninjas, the boss ninja Mugetsu, flips into the scene. Volt, of course, knew he would be here, even though he has the expression that he can't believe this shit.
Sion recognizes him as the ninja from the Fate bar, but then Mugetsu has a good line.
It's you! How does it feel to have your woman taken away from you?
Yeah, then he licks his lips for effect. He lowers his goggles right after that.
Yeah.
And says that Sion will never get his chance to get his girl back.
Sion says he'll save Dominique after he busts this guy up, but Mugetsu has the advantage here, and Sion doesn't have a chance. The ninja guy lowers his 3D glasses and screams,
"You will never get the girl back!"
And then more ninjas fall out of the trees.
I guess this is our second mini-boss battle after Echidna, and it's not really much. I mean, it's pretty much the same as the other ones, except for Mugetsu's got more health and some additional moves. But this is when I first figured out you can get chain bonuses. Which
Mugetsu's theme plays.
Yes, and once I realized that you can get chain bonuses, it made me sort of play this game differently. It made me rush, whereas this game would be better if you didn't have to rush to get your kills and to try to get chain bonuses and kind of play it a little bit more deliberately, but they do not allow that at all.
We do get some unique lines for the fight. Ko will say, "This guy's psycho." And Volt will notice that he just put on night vision goggles.
Yeah.
But after the battle, Sion vows to never lose anyone again, which is excellent protagonist mantra.
Yeah, of course.
Ko will tell Sion that they can now go save his princess. And then Volt wonders what kind of crazy operation Mugetsu had, as it's obviously messed up his mind. Anything else for this stage before we go to Crystal Dome?
No, now it's time to approach the big, dumb biodome.
They comment on how big it is up close.
Yeah.
Volt looks over the edge and has no idea how they're going to get inside, but then Sion turns around and notices this place is full of trees.
Yeah. The way he turned around and had this moment of enlightenment, I thought he was going to see, like, I don't know, like, at least, like, somewhere he could do some sick wall jumps on, or had a great idea, but his idea is just to fucking climb a tree.
Yeah, it just shows him briefly like looking at a tree. Like that, there's nothing more complex. They're just gonna climb a goddamn tree.
Yeah, it was not a premonition. It was a tree.
Yeah,
fuck.
Then it leads in with new music. Aria Chaldea.
Yeah, Chaldea. Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Once Sion gets up to the top, he looks into the dome and he sees, or at first he hears a piano tune, a song that he apparently recognizes according to himself. And then the game cuts to a brown-haired woman playing a piano inside the dome.
The camera rotates around her, but then she stops playing, stands up, and anamorphs into a panther.
Fucking panther, Jesus Christ.
It's that panther.
Yeah, it's that. The camera then pans downward, and there's a dude, the dude from the news report at the beginning of the game, Dorogon C. Mikado.
Yes.
He's there. Also, there's another man here, which I had no memory of this guy. Like, I have memory, like most of me playing this game, it was re-triggering memories of playing it before. No memory of this guy. It's a old man with pointy white hair, pointy beard, very kung fu movie tropey looking guy.
It's Wang from Tekken 2, but his name's Wong.
Yeah, close enough. Yeah, it's not Wang, but it's Wong. Exactly.
New music, Disquietude, plays.
Disquietude plays.
Disquietude plays as this blonde guy, Dorogon, commands Wong to transfer Dominique to the Gallios. They will proceed according to plan. Wong notes the satellite control center has not been repaired since yesterday's explosion. Dorogon is like, Dominique has returned. It's now possible, indicating Dominique is a key. Wong can't believe this shit.
No.
This guy orders Wong to do it, but Wong says his allegiance belongs to Dorogon's predecessor.
Yes, he begs to differ. He believes that this new boss man is only using the Mikado group to fulfill his own selfish agenda. What would Master Mikado think of your abuse? He says. Then he says, please, for your sister's sake.
My dude asks if Wong intends to stop him by force.
Yeah, there was no lead up for Wong. Like, he immediately was plotting a mutiny here. Like, there was no character arc for him. He's already reached Act 3 right here.
Later, we'll find out Wong, for some reason, was Sion's teacher as well as this guy's teacher, like local martial arts master.
In fact, the next scene, Sion and the gang are watching from above, and Volt recognizes Dorogon, but then Sion's like, master?
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't remember that either. I was like, oh, okay, wow. They're really trying to intertwine the narrative in a way that I think makes the narrative worse.
Yep.
Like, everybody's got to know everybody.
Everybody knows everybody.
It's a little rough.
Dorogon super punches Wong in the stomach.
Yeah, it's a quick cut too. They do that thing when the screen flashes and there's he one frames him, like there's one frame of animation from beginning to end. It's pretty great.
Wong falls over while Diagon says,
in Eastern cultures, they say there's only one way to repay one's master, by surpassing him. This is my payback to you, master.
He then does a super spin kick on Wong's fucking back.
Yeah, he drives his heel right into his back, and they even animated the fucking spit, the phlegm that came out of Wong's mouth. It's gross.
Animated phlegm. But then Dorogon appears to leave because Sion screams no and runs up to the fallen Wong, which we're in here now.
Yeah, how'd they get in here? I have no idea.
It's a glass dome. What the fuck?
Yeah. This is one of the many examples of this game cutting from one thing to the next very quickly. Like, we were at Dog Street like 25 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Like, we literally just got off the train.
We just blew up a train station.
Yeah, fuck.
Wong begs forgiveness from Sion. He says Mikado must be stopped, and Sion must do it. Then Wong dramatically dies.
Yes, that's our first dramatic death, I think.
Yes, but Dorogon's actually still here.
Yeah.
He says Sion studied under Wong, which explains why he's been so difficult to deal with. The Sion's thing where everybody knows who he is, like these complexes people develop where they think the world's out to get them, is actually true in Sion's case.
He had knelt over Wong, and he stands up to confront Dorogon, and Dorogon already is exuding final boss energy.
Yeah.
Like, this is very obviously the final boss guy. And then Sion, of course, says,
I'm avenging my master, and I'm taking back Dominique.
But Dorogon counters and says,
she is my sister. I'm the one who will take her back.
What?
Yes.
Not great written dialogue.
No.
Like, I am the one who will take back Dominique. No, I am the one who will take her.
There was...
Hit a thesaurus.
My favorite line in all video games is at the ending of Devil May Cry when Dante says,
I should have been the one to fill your dark soul with light.
It's pretty good.
It's great. You fly a biplane in that game.
Goddamn, guys.
Fuck.
So Dorogon thanks Sion for protecting her and asks if there's any way he can repay Sion. Sion asks if he takes him for a fool, and Dorogon says there's no choice but to fight him.
Yeah.
Dorogon, though, will fight all three of us at once with his hands chained together, so that we stand a chance. As he says he'll impose a handicap upon himself.
Yeah, it ultimately becomes one hand tied behind my back kind of thing.
Yeah. If you're Ko, he'll say, you sure are a confident bastard. And Volt will tell Dorogon that he better not have forgotten who he's fucking with, but he didn't say fucking, he said dealing.
Yes.
We fight him and Panther at the exact same time.
Yeah,
Surprise.
Panther comes out of nowhere.
Mikado's plot plays, but it seems unfair under the previously agreed upon terms of this fight where we're fighting a one-handed guy, not like one-handed guy and his Panther sidekick.
Also Panther, at least I noticed in the short time that this battle takes place that he seems to have some of the same moves as Sion.
Yeah, I mean, they both learned from Wong.
Yeah,
right?
so they either controlled for that or they decided not to do any more animations.
So interestingly, the Panther's name is just question marks. And you know what else is interesting, Chris?
What's that?
You don't have to kill Panther. It's optional.
Oh, cool. Okay. Didn't notice that.
I get game over 3 times.
Yeah, this is kind of hard. Eventually, I decided in this battle to kind of turtle up and use my
defense points,
the bouncer friends as decoys, and then run around and donkey kick them in the butt.
Yes, you can definitely get like your opponent locked on someone else and then just run around and cheap shot them over and over again.
Yeah.
This is where I unlocked Circular Uppercut with Ko, and I juggled him 6 times in a row.
Oh, cool. Okay, wow. Ko is my favorite character when I originally played this game, my favorite one to play with. And I remember being able to get juggles off with him as easier than the other guys.
It's weird they all start off with different stats. Like, Volt's are drastically higher than everybody else's.
Oh, really?
So it's like, why would you pick anybody else?
Well, his moves are kind of slow.
Yeah, his moves are kind of slow. That's why. After the battle, Sion tells Doragon that he should fight with both hands next time. Volt will say that he recognized the face. He's surprised he's still alive. Volt then says he must defeat Doragon for Master Mikado's sake. So Doragon, by the way, tried to have Volt killed. Doragon eventually will say that Wong taught him well.
Apparently, I have underestimated you. But how about this?
And does the same, cut super punch into Sion's stomach.
Yeah.
They executed on Wong. He sends Sion shooting backwards. This is hilarious and random if you're not playing as Sion. Like, why did he...
Oh, yeah.
The cut, the other guy he was fighting, he hit your buddy instead.
Yeah.
Doragon then says,
"It was fun while it lasted, but I have other more pressing matters." As does Dominique.
As he approaches the Dominique altar. He snaps his fingers, and the floor below us transforms into a 4x4 grid and falls apart.
Yeah, the geometry just falls apart. It's like 5 or 6 blocks.
Yeah, the floor then reforms.
Yeah.
Panther gets by Doragon as he says, "It's almost time, Dominique."
Great. So then we get a grainy flashback, film grain flashback.
Mm-hmm.
It's Doragon as a teenager. He's carrying Dominique behind his back over his shoulders, and he's knocking on the door of a hospital. This will become important later. Doragon says,
"Please, open up! My sister, she's dying!"
The nurse is kind of cagey about this. I don't quite understand what the nurse's disposition was here, but she says, "Oh dear, where are your mother and father? One moment. Doctor, the nurse closed the door."
And then the nurse comes back and says,
"I'm sorry. The doctor's on a house call right now. You'll have to find another hospital."
Please!
Yeah, is this like a...
Hospitals don't work the same way they do here, Chris.
The capitalism of, this is the natural extension of, late-stage capitalism in healthcare? It's like...
Most likely.
These kids aren't going to have any money, so we're not going to take care of them?
Yeah,
maybe?
go ask your mom and dad for money to take care of us. Oh, sorry, the doctor's not here. Goddamn in-network insurance.
Fuck. So Doragon continues to bang on the door, and he says he doesn't have anywhere else to go.
But then a guy comes up.
Yeah, he's crying for a little bit, and then he begins searching for another hospital, and a car pulls up, and 2 men get out. These 2 men, it's Wong and Master Mikado.
Rain, Sound of Memories, Distant Rain, the Cross Children plays.
Great title, guys. Then they take the kids to the hospital. Now, time skip forward, but still in flashback zone.
Yes.
It's Wong. He's talking to a young Doragon. He says, "Master Mikado wishes to adopt you as his son under one condition. The condition is that Doragon must not be an asshole fuckboy. In other words, he must become worthy of inheriting the Mikado group. Obviously, you must excel scholastically, but you must also train your body and soul."
Kid Doragon will have to learn all disciplines for his sake and for his sister as well.
The whole idea of the enlightened capitalists in fiction where, you need to become worthy to inherit your father's company, and also you are a...
street urchin.
It's often done with, Batman's father. He's...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's rich, but also he was, taking care of the poor or something. But usually that's not real life, So it bothers me a little bit.
Just imagine driving by till you see a poor child on the street to inherit your company.
Yeah, this is no Zaibatsu after all.
So we go back to the present, then another third flashback.
Yes, the next one takes place at Mikado's grave. Wong says, "You have done well in succeeding your father."
He endured harsh training, and he turned into a young man whom anyone would be proud of. His father will rest easy knowing his legacy lies in good hands. From now on, Doragon will lead the Mikado group.
Yes, he's now the leader of the Zaibatsu.
We go back to the present. Doragon is staring at Dominique. Panther anamorphs back to human.
Yes.
Every character has fallen into a different pit, resulting in Stage 9 being a unique experience for each one of them.
Yes, this is the birth of the Trinity Sight system. which was
from Suikoden.
From Suikoden 3. I'm an absolute sucker for this shit. I love when games split paths of characters, most notably done in Final Fantasy VI, at least in my own personal canon here. I love this shit. The downfall here is that you have to play the game 3 times to experience all of them, but nonetheless, I think it culminates in an interesting moment.
First, we're going to do Sion first.
Sure, you may do that one?
Sure.
Okay, so Sion wakes up and he's like in a closet or something. There's a bunch of boxes sitting around, but there's no Soylent.
Yes.
Sion seems to be by himself. He says, damn it, and punches the floor. He then looks up at the locked doors in front of him and he can't get them back open. But then he just backs up and rams the doors open.
Yeah.
Like some security asshole.
The bouncer is interested in explaining how they got here or why they're still conscious.
Yeah, absolutely.
The escape plays.
Yes, and finally, Eric, we get to fight by ourselves, and this game gets better.
All the experience points are mine.
Yes.
Excuse me, the
bouncer
points.
Yes, thank you we need all of the
bouncer
points. And the game itself becomes a little bit better too, because you can be a little bit more deliberate about your actions, and you can experiment with combos. Which
it's not a race.
This game's not. I mean, there are some challenging parts in this game, but this game I think is at its best when you can experiment with all the weird ragdoll physics and stuff. So after the battle, Sion notices a ninja guy, and he grabs him by the throat and pins him up against the wall, and he demands to know where Dominique is.
This is a level of sadism that I don't think we were ready for from Sion.
No, he asked the ninja if his job is really worth his life. The ninja points towards the nearest door, and Sion tosses the dude into the wall, probably killing him. Now we've got control of things again, so we get to run around a little bit. I lost track of where I was multiple times.
Well, there's something weird here. Whenever he opens a door, it cuts to a scene of him running through the exact same doorway.
Yeah, it's very jarring because you're not even pressing a button on the door. It just does it automatically.
Yeah, whenever you get close. They hadn't really nailed scene transitions between different environmental pieces. It's like it was stitched together with glue or something.
Yeah, this first room, a conference room with a table, an office chair, a picture of like a shamrock or a butterfly or something on the wall, and several file cabinets. And this was very obviously going to be a potential setup for a destructible environment fight.
Bust all that shit up. Blue PS2 discs are everywhere.
Yeah, and as you move through this area, you're going upstairs, you're going through more cubicles and things, and it's very obvious that this is like, there's a lot of cut content in this section.
These were clearly environments they plugged in to have something to do. Chris, did you beat up any trash robots?
Yes, Eric, I did fight some dumbass trash robots, which are a sign of things to come.
They're called P101.
Yeah, it's great. At some point during this event, I had enough points to unlock the ground sweep, which is not a very good move, but it's kind of cool looking.
It's good for a low attack.
It's like a little breakdance fighting on the ground that can chain into multiple kicks. The camera angles don't make any goddamn sense, and eventually you begin to make your way through some like science labs, some sci-fi labs. I wondered, it looks like there might be an anima relic there or something. They're very, very futuristic looking, which is an interesting contrast from like the office cubicles that we were seeing before.
You kill more rent-a-cops, you kill more trash robots.
Yeah, lots of LED computer screens, and eventually we are confronted by the Panther. Not for a fight yet, though. It just kind of locks eyes with Sion for a moment, and then it turns away and jumps through the door. And then we get control back. We go through a few more futuristic science labs, look at some more LED panels, and get to this like junky-ass room with a computer in it.
A lore computer.
I don't remember this game having a lore computer, but I'm here for it, Eric.
You missed it the first time, Chris. Let's go over some lore. What are the topics on this lore computer?
Topic number 1, Project M Special Forces.
Wasn't that the mod of Smash Brothers Brawl?
Yes, it was. Project M, yes. This has a picture of our friend Mugetsu on the side, and it says, a project modifying the subject through robotomy surgery. Is that a word?
No, it's not.
Chris, do you prefer robotomy or cyborgification?
I definitely like what'd you say?
Cyborgification.
Cyborgification, yes. I like that one better, yeah. The nervous system has been enhanced to assist in the completion of assigned missions. However, this simulation of the fighting instincts tends to cause the subject's mind to degrade. Presently, the subject has been assigned as the leader of the Special Forces unit, which are two great sentences to be next to each other.
That sounds dumb, but it's realistic for military purposes, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
Take the nuttiest guy and make him in charge.
Yeah, of course. See 2016 to 2020. Special Forces Mass Production Type G1.
These are the regular subservient ninjas.
Yes, the pre-production version of the mass-produced M-Type. They obey their orders accurately, even when using relatively simple and short commands. The primary feature of the G1 is that it utilizes the same system as the M-Type. Testing shows that this unit exhibits almost the same results in the right type of environment as the M-Type. Presently, these units are assigned as elite members to the Special Forces unit.
How about that, folks?
How about that? Next one, Special Forces Mass Production Type G2. The Type G2 is a lower quality model of the G1. These units are most economical version of the G series. Presently, these units are assigned to the Special Forces unit.
This is one of those situations where I pictured Richard Honeywood just going, fucking, mass production,
Why?
Type G1,
Yes.
9.
Control V, Control C. Next one, Mechanical Electrical Engineering version 2. Mikado is this the trash robot thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Mikado Corporation's original service machine, easily manufactured and processing a high degree of flexibility. It is one of the more popular products that Mikado produces for some goddamn reason. They're making Roombas here. This unit is the flagship model for the Mikado Corporation. We intend to develop future machines based on the present popularity and potential of our current machines. Wow. RoboCop.
Murphy.
Next one. This one's interesting. It's called the PD series. Some foreshadowing lore here. It's like a humanoid kind of thing hanging out here. A project that clones a complete human from only a small sample of cells. By converting the internal organs into machinery, the subject's lifespan is extended to almost infinite proportions. Within the PD series, the unit that made the most innovative difference with the new technology is number 4. Once the PD project is complete, the technology will be transferred for use on Project A2.
Chris, who's Project A2?
Well, we'll get there in a second, Eric. Biological engineering number 1. Biological weapon will create...
Chris, you can just say it's why dogs have robot parts.
This is an explanation for why the dogs have robot parts. And the next one is, we do need to read this one. The Biological Engineering 1 Bionoid Experiment.
Bionoid.
And as soon as you select this, Sion says...
Chaldea?
And it says, upon evaluating the unanticipated side effects manifested by the PD series, we intend to broaden our research related to cloning. Our best example of this is Chaldea. The one drawback with our present technology is that the treatment ages the subject's cells approximately 10 biological years. Jesus fucking Christ. Sion recognizes the woman in the picture. Her name is Chaldea Orchid.
Reminisce, please.
Reminisce enduring thoughts. Sion has multiple flashbacks about spending time with this person. It seems as if he was like chilling in some grass on a picnic or something.
I put Windows XP field.
Yeah, that works too. She does one of those takes where she turns around quickly and her hair flops around in corny slow motion.
Yep.
And she gives a large Tetsuya Nomura smile in Tekken 2 animation. And then the scene shatters like a broken mirror, a million shades of light.
Sion notes this was not an accident and they were experimenting on humans.
Fucking hell.
Chaldea is like Sion's good friend from 10 years ago, somebody he grew up with.
We did not have time to really explore that, except for like the 45 seconds of a plot resolution later, maybe. But the final entry reveals a picture of Dominique. It's Project A2. It's password protected. Why didn't these other ones have passwords? I don't fucking know. This one says you can't actually see this quickly because the scene cuts, but it says A2 stands for Algeos Amastasius. What does that mean?
I don't know. Fake net?
Initializing fake net.
I have no idea. Sorry.
I Googled it and I couldn't find shit, but it looks like it might have been a Greek word or something. Anyway, a bad guy runs in and throws a punch at Sion and he conveniently dodges it and breaks the fucking computer screen. So even if we had the password, it doesn't fucking matter.
Sneak plays as we kick the asses of more MSF elite. Sion takes the elevator up to an orange carpet hallway.
Yep.
A blast door closes before he can make it through. He punches the door, but then Panther comes out of the door behind him as Chaldea Orchid's theme plays.
Yes. Are we in the executive hallway now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you do anything unique with this fight with this Panther?
Yeah, I mean,
She.
Yeah, Sion continues a mad dash towards the door, which automatically closes because this office building is also a spaceship, and he turns around and sees the Panther emerging from the wall. He says that he's going to teach the fucking Panther a lesson. Eric, have you ever wanted to kick the shit out of a Panther?
Only the Carolina Panthers when they lost when I saw them play one time.
Oh, and when they lost the Super Bowl. Does this game have a finite amount of blocks per encounter? I think we've already answered this question, but this is when I noticed that there's a finite number of blocks because I was trying to just block, low kick on this thing because it's kind of hard.
Dude, I just low kicked into oblivion.
Yeah.
Victory music.
Thank you. Great. Yeah, that's it. So then the Panther morphs into the lady.
Animorphs, please.
Animorphs, excuse me. She looks sad as shit. She has shoulder-length brown hair, brown eyes, and she's wearing dog tags around her neck for some fucking reason.
Dog Street.
Sion asks,
"Who are you?"
You don't recognize me, do you?
Huh?
I think I know this answer here because I saw her on a computer log 2.5 minutes ago, but Sion doesn't know who she is.
No. He says, "You don't recognize me, do you?" She then anamorphs back into a panther and portals through another door.
Sion can't believe this shit.
Sion wonders what that was all about, then runs toward the door as he says Dominique's name. To be just this lost boy in the world.
Yeah. So he opens the executive office doors, and this is the moment of bouncer reconvergence. So I guess we'll do your scenarios now, right?
Stage 9 with Ko. Ko? Damn it.
Ko.
Just
Lei Wufang.
Wei Luong.
Lei Wulan.
Ko wakes up in an American football locker room. There are Packers helmets and jerseys everywhere.
Fuck.
Ko stands up and looks around, then concludes it smells like a sweat sock in here.
Good.
He's very upset about his location, but then his cell phone rings. Before he can answer, a ninja walks in and tells him to keep quiet in there. Ko says, "Oh, well, excuse me."
Princess.
I was going to say that. Thank you. We have to fight. We win. There's another noise of Ko taking this dude's clothes off and putting them on himself to disguise, Chris.
Yeah, still some Star Wars stuff going on here.
Ko exits the locker room as new music, Lucas, Covert Op plays. Ko observes two ninjas passing a closed shop called Coffee Time and then perform a praying salute to each other. We then see Ko's secret PDA. It's a green list of notes that says that enemies here use coded signals.
Excuse me, did you say his digital pocket assistant?
Pocket digital assistant.
What? It should have been DPA.
I don't make the rules about 1990s tech, man.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
A 3D image of Ko rotates next to the note. Why doesn't my phone do this with me? We then get a list of button-assigned coded signals. Triangle is Old Man in Thought, Circle is A Lady's Temptation, X is Lonely Warrior, and Square is Unparalleled Friendship. Chris, what's Circle?
Unparalleled Friendship?
No, it's A Lady's Temptation. You would have failed the next sequence.
What
so basically,
the fuck?
You have to approach guards, and they do a coded sequence to you, and you must repeat it back Simon Says style.
Oh, okay, interesting.
If you lose, you have to fight them.
Oh, well, I want to fight. Do you get
Bouncer
points for winning?
You do.
For winning the game?
The fights. Oh, no, like the mini game. No, you actually, I think you're encouraged to fail because but I mean, if you get in too many fights, you'll get the shit kicked out of you pretty easily.
Oh, okay.
As Ko. So it's funny, all of Ko's lines and even his battle grunts are muffled through his mask, like they really tried with the VO here.
Wow, good job, guys.
The next guy does 5 in a row. I get 4 right and fail the 5th, but he shakes his head and points to the right. I walk past a guy doing solo karate moves. He and I do Lonely Warrior. I walk up to a guy sitting on a break room table. He does 10 moves in a row, and there's a fun gag where Ko will do whatever, and he'll just finish with that one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Ko then leaves, speculating that the entire sequence gave him a couple of gray hairs. The next guy has to copy Ko's movement if Ko goes first.
Cosmos.
2 ninjas walk by Ko, noting that no one is allowed to enter the executive floor. There may be some precious cargo up there, but Ko takes that elevator up. Another ninja gets on another floor, and Ko's secret agent phone rings. Ko then uses hand signals to tell the suspicious enemy ninja that it's just a wake-up alarm for his phone. It works, and Ko gets a thumbs up. Ko resolves to shut off his comm for now, just as another elevator with 6 guys in it opens in front of him. They say they're going to begin securing the executive floor. Ko sneaks in with the group. It then cuts to the scene of Mugetsu strangling Sion, and we'll see what happens there later.
Bouncer reconvergence.
There's still one more, though.
Yes.
Stage 9, Volt.
The final bouncer.
Volt wakes up in a robot factory. My guy is strapped to an inversion table. He hulks out of the restraints. He meets some soldiers at a catwalk and informs them that they should invent better training equipment. I walk 2 feet next to some clone tanks as the escape plays, and the whole level ends in 2 seconds.
Seriously? Wow. That's a ripoff.
After a save point, Volt emerges in the exact same level and says it looks like nothing has changed. I can't deal with the irony of him saying this inside of the exact same level. I bought Lift Up Slam, where he lifts a guy up and slams them.
Great. It's called Lift Up Slam. I love it. Okay, so
he
now...
can't lift up robots.
Yeah. So that's it?
I get to ninjas, 1 kills me. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so...
Well, eventually I get to an office where Sion hacked that computer.
Yeah.
By using the computer. Volt knows that someone was definitely here, and he wonders if it was Sion or Ko. We get it from a first-person perspective. Volt looks at all the papers on the ground. He picks one up. It's a report stating that the CEO's assassin has been terminated. He then says the word...
Echidna.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so...
Then he runs into another room where he sees a ninja sneaking away. He picks him up and hurls him.
Yes.
And we converge.
Yes, this is the moment. As Sion is creeping through the executive office, the ninja band boss man Mugetsu approaches from behind and again puts Sion in a rear naked chokehold.
It's his move.
Yes, but then in the nick of time, Volt comes in and starts throwing dudes at dudes. He tells Sion that he told him to stay sharp, and And then Ko begins talking, and I think we get that muffled voice that you mentioned earlier, telling Volt that hurt really, really bad.
Like,
so
Ko was the one that Ko was the one that Volt threw first, like the first bowling ball to hit over the pins.
Yeah, and this is a really fun moment of where the characters reconverge. I really thought that this was
it works.
This was well played. I thought this would have been, I think, a lot funnier if we would have got to play all these sequences ourselves in one run.
We're now in Stage 10 Executive Room because we have to fight all the ninjas in Mugetsu again.
Volt tells Ko that he looks spiffy, and then Ko rips off the uniform like Kiryu rips off his shirt. Mugetsu says,
"Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry."
"Richard, what are you doing?" And he says,
"I don't care if I destroy my mind, as long as I slaughter all of you."
"Time for a battle." I don't have anything interesting about
I'm
this
just doing
battle.
a circular uppercut on everybody, juggles.
Yeah,
I win the rest of the game with that.
I'm donkey kicking the shit out of everybody's butt.
Yeah, and it's a good strategy to mash people. And there's also some kind of bowling pin knocking guys into other guys strategy here too, where it knocks them all over.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily effective from a perspective of lowering their HP, but it's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So the battle's over, and Sion is concerned about Dominique, and he runs to her. He calls out to her, but no response.
Affection plays.
Yes, he's showing affection by cupping his hand around her cheek, and now she's opening her eyes. She recognizes Sion. He smiles, and there's some sweet music, as you mentioned, and they embrace. Sion tells her,
"Always getting me in trouble. You had me worried."
This is the first time you ever hugged me.
I guess this isn't his girlfriend. And then Ko puts his hand on Sion's shoulder and asks if we can save the love scene for later. That's not what a love scene is. Then we've got to decide what we're going to do next, Eric. The gang. We've all got to, all of us bouncers need to decide our next move.
Well, if you're Ko, he'll hope it all works out better for Sion. If you're Volt, he thinks security will be tighter than they thought if they go to this rocket tower next.
Yeah.
Ko decides all four of them together is bad. He thinks they need a decoy.
Yeah, that's because this game can't handle all these characters on screen. We've got to do the thing when your party gets too big, right? We've got to split up.
One will escape with Dominique, and the other two will draw away the guards. Who'd you pick to go with? Sion, probably?
Yeah, I picked Sion all the way through this game.
So if you're Ko, he'll extend a hand toward Dominique and offer to escort Milady.
Yeah.
Dominique says she doesn't know about this, so Ko brains her as Sion tells Ko to take care of her.
Great.
If you're Volt, he'll put a hand on her shoulder, and fucking Dominique says she knows she can depend on us both, but she wish she would have preferred Sion.
Yeah, damn. Sick burn.
Sion will tell Volt to take care of Dominique. Then it cuts to a scene of a robot marching. Ko and Volt, in Chris's game and my game, get off the elevator, and Sion tells Dominique to stay close, and there's great lighting on the two boys as they get off that elevator and exit into the unknown.
Now, this robot, Alien's robot, right?
Yes, the power loader from Aliens.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It looks exactly like it.
The escape plays as Sion fights trash robots and big boy robots.
Yeah, we're fighting some goddamn robots here.
They're called LD-15.
Yeah, the trash robots here and...
Combot from Tekken 4.
Yes, exactly. Combot is here as well. Also, Eric, this is what's unique about this section?
You don't have to kill everything.
Well, also, that's true. Also, it's an escort mission.
Yes.
And
if Dominique dies, which she can, the mission's over.
I think the PS2 was infamous throughout the entire lifespan of that for having games with bad escort missions. I can remember some
absolutely.
like Jak 2 and stuff like that.
Resident Evil 4.
Yeah. And I don't know if this was the genesis of that particular phenomenon, but it's there. So the thing about these getting through this section with Sion is that you can stun lock all the robots with the donkey kicks. Just spam the donkey kicks and you can get
They frame break out of that sometimes, though.
Occasionally, but not enough to completely take you out as long as you are being safe with the number of robots that surround you.
I found as long as I killed about 75% of the robots, I could make it through pretty easily. But I did die here a couple of times, and it's frustrating because you get all these
bouncer
points because you're the only one earning anything at this point.
Yeah, and so it sucks that you have to kind of leave some of the food on the table here because you could level up a lot here if you wanted to, but eventually you've got to start running from Combot, Johnny 5, etc.
You make it to stage 12, Rocket Tower Basement. It's an elevator.
It's an elevator.
A thinking elevator.
Indeed. So Sion and Dominique are on this platform elevator thing moving downward, and Sion looks like he needs to take a shit for some reason. I don't know, that expression was on his face.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been. It's been a whole 45 minutes since our night began. Dominique turns to him and asks,
Sion?
Huh?
Can I stay with you always?
What's this all of a sudden?
And then we're getting some big-time, like, ooh-woo gamer girl vibes from Dominique. It's kind of gross. A woman that was clearly designed by a man.
Initializing fake net.
I'm going to play the whole thing without editing out the awkward pauses.
I don't like this place.
Mr. Wong was the one who helped me escape.
My master?
And then I met you, Sion.
Dominique.
When I started living with you, you didn't talk to me much. But for the first time, I was free. For the first time, I was happy. Can we go home together?
Of course.
She says that Wong was the one that helped her escape. I guess this means when she is, because she's escaping right now.
She escaped from Mikado originally.
Originally, so okay, that clears that up. This is when she went on to meet Sion, which I think was...
You'll see that in a bonus cutscene after the end of the game.
Yeah, which I guess that their meeting was incidental, but if Wong helped her escape, maybe she...
Yeah, maybe it secretly wasn't so incidental.
Wong helped her escape and said, go to Dog Street. You'll find friends on Dog Street. She says for the first time she was free and happy when she first started living with him, which I guess living at the bar or whatever.
They live in the same place. Remember the residential area?
Yeah, that's true.
That's
where
they
right.
live.
Yeah. And then she asks if we can all go home together, and Sion says, of course, and hugs her.
If you're Ko, Dominique will ask him if he thinks it's okay if she stays with Sion. She doesn't like this place. That's why she ran away, and how she was able to meet Sion and the rest of the bouncers from
The bouncer!
Dominique feels bad because the bar is in shambles because of her, but Ko will tell Dominique not to worry. Even though Boss looks cheap, he's got a sizable fortune. Ko says it's all good, and notes that since Dominique arrived, Sion has been opening up to the rest of the crew. If you're Volt, he'll put a hand on her shoulder and tell Dominique that Sion needs her too, and that's why they all came here. No matter what, the gang will all get to a massive industrial door. It opens with a keypad, but then a guy with a Go-Go Gadget stretch arm, who we'll later learn is PD4, walks out and grabs Dominique.
I've got him as Edgelord Robot.
Yes, he looks like a character in Tobal, honestly.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he's got some wild, kind of grayish, whitish hair, and I think face tattoos, and very, very...
poor voice acting.
Yeah, also that too.
He's one of the experiments from the lore computer, PD4.
Yeah.
He tells Miss Dominique that her brother awaits her, but she says she's going home with Sion. PD4 tells Dominique she has much to learn, then grabs her stomach so hard she passes out.
Dominique!
Yeah, which is something.
If you have Volt, he'll call PD4 a bastard. My guy tells Sion not to worry.
Do not worry. I simply put her to sleep. Now, allow me to put you to sleep.
Permanently.
Yeah. Just in the nick of time, Volt announces that this robot will have to put him to sleep too.
Great comeback.
Yeah, and then the camera like pans the other way, and Ko is doing the thing where he's leaning up against the wall all coyly and says,
Coolio.
Coolio.
He's trying to look cool, and he says, if you've got what it takes. This robot then accepts this as an acceptable odds, and then the battle begins.
Ko has a unique line where he says, hey, we're flesh and blood over here. We get a new song the next 30 seconds.
Yeah.
PD4's theme.
Thanks, PD4. You got your own theme. Good job. Great job there, PD4. Yeah, this battle's pretty whatever. It's pretty easy to sneak in behind and deal some damage with my donkey kicks.
Did you ever get Tornado Uppercut for Sion?
No, I didn't.
Also pretty good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's when you replay this game in 25 years.
At about this point in the game, I stopped unlocking moves and just put them all into stats because I remembered some things about the final battle that I wanted to make sure I could care for, but it didn't actually apply.
We're almost there. Stage 13, Rocket Tower Deck. They find Dominique. Sion rushes over to her. She's lying on the ground, having been squeezed. The bay door opens to reveal 5 more PD4s.
Yes.
They circle our gang and reference the previous odds from the last match.
Yeah.
Dominique then screams Sion's name.
She's beginning to hold her temples.
Yeah.
Real quick, and then I paused the game to write some stuff down, but I knew exactly what was about to happen. I figured that she was going to have some sort of psionic explosion.
Psionic explosion?
Psionic explosion. That was pretty close. She screams, and then the satellite from the news report begins to activate, which...
Is Dr. Abel about to kill Jack 2?
Yes, Jack 2.
Jack 2.
Its solar panels begin to turn towards Earth.
It starts shaking violently.
By the way, this is satellite number 68, one less than the weed number.
69.
Yes. So Dominique then activates via a slit between her ear, and her face kind of pops off a little bit.
Reveals complex machinery.
Yes, all the machinations that are going inside of her face, which we were not told that she was a robot. and she appears to be in control of the satellite or powered up by the satellite. It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Dominique Cross's theme plays.
Yes. Her face clicks back on. And
glows orange.
And she slowly begins to stand up all zombie-like. She's kind of expressionless a little bit. And then she gets in a fighting stance because satellite androids must know how to fight. It's part of their nature, right?
She uses Matrix karate.
Yes. Shit's getting real as she runs towards the two robots, ducks under their attacks, and punches them both in the stomach. She throws one of the robots into another one and flips around and kicks another one in the face. She then does backflips over the other one and roundhouse kicks the other one in the side of the face, and then the robots are just rolling around all over the fucking place.
Don't her hips let off steam and then she passes out face first?
Oh, Majin Buu steam. Yes, I think you're right. And of course, it goes without saying that
the bouncer.
I just cannot believe this shit.
No, Seion is very confused. Volt will wonder what Doragon did to Dominique.
Yeah.
And fucking Mugetsu drops down, man. He picks up Dominique and says he's bringing her to the shuttle Gallios, where Doragon is waiting.
Yes.
Mugetsu will finish us off after that. Then he leaps away.
Yes.
Seion resolves to think about what just happened.
Yes, he falls to his knees, can't believe this shit. Volt looks on, also unable to believe this shit, but actually, he does know what's going on. He says,
she is Duragon's dead sister.
What?
And then again, we cannot believe this shit. Volt goes on to tell us that she lost her life as a result of a terminal illness. Remember the hospital flashback, Eric?
Yeah.
Duragon spared nothing to bring her back. Volt says that he was a personal guard to the previous Mikado, which is why he knows some of this shit. And then the gang resolves to go save Dominique, or else we will never know the truth.
Seion can't believe this shit and shaking Volt implying he's lying, which I get that, because if you're friends and co-workers with Volt, you would want your buddy to tell you your girlfriend is a robot.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, that's just a solid you do your any kind of friend, right?
Yeah. So then the gang, anything else for that scene?
If you're Co, he'll take his phone back out and says they're going to need backup, which kind of leads to what happens later.
Yeah, so then the gang is marching into another dock. There's a lot of docks here.
Another big door, big industrial door,
yes.
A lot of that shit.
Yeah, Seion slows down as several robots approach. One of them is painted black. He must be a boss robot because he's differently colored than the other yellow alien robots. And
Palette swap.
Did you notice that it extends his arms out like this, like the Game of Thrones meme? And my headcanon here is that this boss robot is the only sentient one, and it wants us to come get some.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Very good.
So we do go get some. We bring some.
Is this where we have the Battletoads second-person point of view as the robot has green vision that looks at all of our characters?
Is that throughout the whole battle?
No, just a little bit.
Oh, okay.
It'd be awesome if it was the whole battle, but no, these pusher robots are just temporary views. Seion's in no mood to be merciful, and Seion's theme plays as we kick ass. I do, and Seion resolves not to lose anyone else. Volt will say, let's go Seion. Everybody's on Team Seion now.
Yeah, of course.
We win. We run down a hallway, but a voice cries out.
Another fucking door.
Congratulations! Who would have ever thought you'd make it this far?
Echidna.
It's Echidna.
Yes, mini-boss.
Now that Mugetsu and PD4 are out of the picture, I shall become number one. Once I defeat all of you.
She said
Volt doesn't have time for this shit.
She's got some like Vegeta level intellect. It's like, I must beat up the strongest so I can be strongest.
The camera zooms in on her shaking fist.
I've had enough of your mockery. You haven't changed at all.
If you're Volt, she'll tell him that ever since he became a special agent, he's been ordering her around. She won't let any of us get near the Gallios. She's backed up by 2 shover robots.
Yes.
It's time for a fight.
She's had enough of Volt's mockery.
Echidna's theme plays. Seion says there's nothing you need to do to stop us, while Ko will say, hell hath no fury, because he's still on that tip.
Yeah.
After the battle, Echidna is on the ground, defeated. We ask her where the Gallios is, and she says, too bad, launch preparations should be about complete by now. Volt, uniquely, she'll tell him it's not over yet and she can still fight. She'll struggle to stand back up, while Volt tells her she's lost.
Broken shards, sorry.
Echidna then asks for death. She helped assassinate Doragon's predecessor and had Volt framed. Volt will say it's over, and the gang will walk away. But Echidna will take a few steps forward and tell Volt she doesn't want to owe her life to him. Volt has always been like this. He has always been better than Echidna. She can never beat him. Volt then stops and tells Echidna that's enough. Leave Mikado and lead a normal life. Go home and be a family man.
Thanks for everything, quit the military.
That's it. Echidna's lower lip trembles. She'll reacquire her more confident voice and tell the gang the Gallios is in the adjacent tower. Dominique is in there. So there's a little bit more if you have Volt, where she eventually folds all of her cards. Stage 14, Air Carrier 2.
We cut to a scene where all the lights are coming on and a bunch of
Sirens flash.
Futuristic tanks are in this dock or something. I don't know.
Something takes off.
Yeah. Sirens are blaring. This is a launch sequence. There's a ship that's sortied via a conveyor belt down a shaft and then raised up into an elevator. Several large steel doors open because we haven't seen enough large steel doors yet, revealing the sky.
The bouncer spends a lot of time on these animated Lucas ships fighting the shuttle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of CG sequences of like Lucas ships attacking the train, Lucas ships attacking the shuttle.
Do you know why?
Because it's cool as shit.
Squaresoft.
Yeah.
Some airplane safety guys are then waving their glow sticks and it begins to speed up and it blasts off as the camera whips around and the runway begins to illuminate. Blast off.
If you're Ko, it cuts to a scene where Leanne is in the pilot's chair. She puts her comm set back on and apologizes for keeping Ko waiting. The best she can do is buy Ko some time. She tells him to use the air carrier to get on board the Gallios. She then fires more machine guns at the Gallios. It cuts back to Ko. To himself, he thinks that Leanne wants the impossible. He's damned if he does, and damned if he doesn't. If you're Volt, Echidna will stumble forward and act surprised that Lucas knows about the launch.
Oh, cool. Lucas. Do we ever figure out what Lucas stands for?
No, but in the movie The Bouncer with Van Damme that came out 2 years ago, you know what his name is?
Lucas?
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
The Pursuit plays.
I can't believe this shit. Neither can
The Bouncer.
Because the Gallios is bigger than they thought, and I would describe the Gallios as a giant, insane airship stealth bomber that is highly likely to be a transformer.
If you're Volt, Echidna will watch the gang run off and grab her stomach and say, "Don't die on me, I want a rematch."
Cool. Behind the Gallios, a bunch of those small VTOL planes from the beginning of the game are attacking it again. I guess they're trying to stop it because they all just fucking engage their machine guns and start shooting the ship.
There's so much of it.
I think you only get context for any of this if you play as Ko.
As Ko,
right?
yeah. The rest of it, it's just random shit.
It felt very disjointed for me because I didn't realize that Ko was an agent for Lucas or whatever. Yeah. It's funny too because we've launched on the air carrier in the middle of this giant fucking space battle.
Yeah,
basically.
we don't have guns. We're just like a tugboat.
Eric, we don't even have a roof or seatbelts. Nothing. Like, Sion just points in an arbitrary direction, and Volt just fucking flies there.
We catch up to a space shuttle.
Yeah, just as Volt is trying to figure out where to park this thing. How about on top of the fucking ship, buddy?
Who runs across the Gallios and jumps onto our air car?
Ninja boss Mugetsu leaps into the sky and lands directly on our carrier.
It's Mugetsu! I've been waiting for you! Now that I don't have to worry about Duragon or the girl.
He is now taking his entire mask off, which I guess means that it was some sort of limiter to his previous fucked upness. I don't know.
Right now you can pick someone to fly the plane and someone else to fight.
It's funny that Mugetsu says he's going all out here when he's like jumping onto the plane to fight us instead of like fucking shooting a missile at us or something. But yeah, this choice is weird because I fucked it up the first time.
Oh, did you pick your main character to pilot it?
Yeah, I picked Sion to pilot it, and that means you got to play as one of the other two, and my guys weren't leveled up. So
the idea is it's harder because you fight him 2-on-1 instead of 3-on-1.
Yeah.
This time that's where the difficulty comes in, but nothing stops me from circular uppercutting him 8 times in a row.
Yes, same with donkey kicks. Yes, indeed.
But it's funny, new music, Nazuki Destruction plays as you kill in 5 seconds and getting 5 seconds of Nazuki Destruction.
Yes.
We also should notice during that battle, the air carrier is flying around the Gallios in another one of those motion sequences.
You're right. It is pretty impressive,
yeah,
I think.
For the time.
Yeah. After the battle is over, Mugetsu is falling off the air carrier like Alan Rickman. He says,
"No, it's not over. It's not over yet. I haven't..."
But it definitely is over, Eric, because the ship is blasting off and he's incinerated by the ship's,
Yeah, it
exhaust.
is like a Hans Gruber shot of his face as he gets incinerated, isn't it?
It looks pretty cool.
If you're Ko, he will say, "Incineration, huh? You better get used to it with where you're going."
Yeah. Hell, buddy.
Volt is more sympathetic. He'll lament Mugetsu's death, labeling him as another victim of Duragon's research.
Yeah, that's probably the correct take, I think.
Probably.
Volt is the only character in this game with empathy. Sion is selfish and Ko is just a fucking asshole.
I mean, we're on stage 5, Gallios.
Stage 5? I thought this was
We're on stage 15, Gallios.
15.
It cuts to Duragon piloting the ship.
Yeah.
He's talking to Dominique, who's in a chair hooked up to shit.
So he is piloting the ship here. I just wrote he's pressing buttons on a sci-fi computer because I can't tell what the fuck is going on.
Hooked up to shit like Strom Thurmond.
Yeah.
It starts with the accursed hospital. Basically what happens here is Duragon gets pissed off at the hospital that told him no, and he uses satellite energy to blow up the hospital.
Yeah.
Like Independence Day.
He activates the space laser, which for some reason needs his little sister to activate.
Yeah.
And a huge retractable phallus comes out of the space laser satellite thing, powers up and shoots it directly at the Earth. then the hospital is destroyed like the White House on Independence Day. I don't understand the mechanics here. Why do you need an android to power a space laser, Eric?
I don't know, man.
Are we going to get this lore, Eric? I need this lore. We're not going to get the lore, I don't think.
Maybe that was part of the aptitude that Dorogon, during his scholarly teachings, his scholastic endeavors, learned how to program little girls into space laser satellites.
Is that like his fail-safe or whatever? Like the only time I need to use a space laser is when I've lost my humanity?
I can have my companionship with my robot sister who's also dead.
Fuck.
So Scion and crew run through the space hallway and encounter the Black Panther again.
Yeah.
Chaldea.
Sion says, "What are you anyway?"
Chaldea Orchid's theme plays.
Yes.
I think this fight only happens if you're Sion, maybe?
There are a couple of different outcomes here, and I'm not really sure what causes them. I tried to look this up, but I don't know. But I've got the text for everything. So
yeah, Ko will say another one of Dorogon's pets. Volt says this is no ordinary panther.
Yeah,
and she goes between human and panther form during this fight.
Yeah, and this fight is not much, especially when she goes. It's actually easier because when she goes into human form, she's easier.
Yeah, she has fewer moves. I mean, she has a bigger hitbox.
Yeah, exactly. So I beat her, and after the battle, the woman is... This is what happened to me the first time.
Oh, this is for Sion. Yeah, I've got it all listed.
So after the battle, she's panting. She calls out to Sion.
You don't recognize me, do you? Now that I'm so much older than you.
No, that's impossible.
Sion begins to believe. He says, this is impossible. Then he wonders if this woman is Chaldea. We figured this out from the lore computer earlier. I don't understand.
Mikado staged my death and erased my existence.
You're saying it wasn't an accident?
They experimented on me using bionoid technology so that Dominique could become more human.
She says they experimented on her using bionoid technology to make her the next Noid.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you imagine a cybernetic the Noid fighting human the bouncers?
I want that game. This was also done as sort of a half step so that Dominique could eventually become more human. Volt can't believe this shit. Chaldea.
I pity him. It is so sad.
Him?
Duragon. He's lonely. I must be by his side.
Ah, yes. A woman's fatal flaw is that she pities an evil man so much that she must also do evil. I don't know if there's a trope for that, but it feels like one. And like the compassion for the villain that does not deserve compassion, I think is something that's going on here.
Yeah.
Speaking of fatal flaws, a scorpion chain comes in and goes directly through her chest. Her blood is purple and her dog tags fall off. Fuck.
None of this happens if you're playing as Ko or Volt.
Yes, there are a few different variations here that can play out where Chaldea isn't murdered and Sion simply has a little heart-to-heart and lies her down on the ground. This also affects the way this game ends as well.
If you're Ko, in mind, at least the way I played it, Sion says she resembled someone very important to him, but she died long ago, like not putting together that she's been through aging technology.
Yes, Sion is fake confirmed.
And then it's the same scene as Volt, pretty much.
Yeah, so in the murder scene, Duragon, after he murders her with the chain, he says he has no need for such pathetic sympathy from an android.
Bionoid.
Bionoid.
He says bionoid? Oh, fuck, I said it wrong. Bionoid. The Noid.
The Noid.
Now we're in the control room or something? Like the bridge?
The gang makes it to the pilot area. Volt tells Duragon...
Stop it, Duragon.
Very commanding. Duragon says...
With this satellite, I will provide unlimited energy to those who will follow me, and I will demonstrate what happens to those who cross me.
You're going to rule the world with a satellite?
So my guy's now a tech anarchist capitalist bro? Like unlimited energy supply for my death satellite that can also kill shit?
I think
with my dead sister key?
I've never actually said this word out loud
before. Why am I in
before.
space to use this? What?
You ever said the word
technocrat?
The form of government, technocracy. Technocracy. I've never said it out loud before. I've read it before.
Technocracy. Is that a word?
Yeah, it's a word.
Cool.
It's like what we live in today.
Cyberpunkology.
Where,
high tech, low life.
Amazon has all the money. Okay, so.
But it's like he'll provide it or else he'll demonstrate what will happen to those who cross him.
That is some good villain stuff.
He then doubles down and says he concludes that human beings will want to be controlled and will forsake those who offer them no benefit. He goes on a mad villain rant.
Human beings want to be controlled. They forsake those who offer no benefit. They lord those with power. They can do nothing for themselves. Mankind His true desire is to be dominated by absolute power.
Then the camera pans up towards the targeting system for the satellite or whatever.
Yeah.
Sion calls out to Dominique and tells her to stop.
And she does.
Yeah, Dorogon's angry, but Volt says that Dorogon's sister doesn't agree with him as he notices that she does try to stop this. And Dorogon calls her a useless puppet. Sion, he can't believe this shit, and he tells Dorogon that he is the one who created Dominique, which we know, I don't understand that. Dorogon says,
I'll take you on with both arms. This is your reward for being such a nuisance.
Hell yeah. Sion will say, this is unforgivable, Dorogon. Ko will say, there's no turning back now, it's time to go all out. And Volt will say, he will avenge Master Mikado. Afterward, he will tell Dorogon to burn in hell.
Cool.
Mikado plays as we fight the first round of this fight.
This game certainly has some redeeming qualities, as we've discussed throughout. There's some meat here. It didn't come together well, but it all seems to fall apart for me here because the manner in which I beat the bad guy, the final boss, is to run around him and donkey kick him in the butt.
Yep.
Over and over again, and that's it.
I smoke him.
Yes.
It lets me power up after I beat him, which is hilarious.
Yeah. Excuse me, I need to
buff my defense a little bit. Sion will tell Dominique that he won, then Dorogon does another villain speech as he takes off his coat to reveal a sexy pair of overalls.
Yes,
Kevin Nash.
I wrote he Yakuzas off his coat and he reveals some black pleathery raver overalls.
Hell yeah.
I beat him, Dominique!
You could never understand the humiliation that I have gone through. The burden of having to be the best, of having to be worthy.
You think I'm gonna lose to someone who's only motivated by resentment?
No shirt.
We get new music. Madness plays, and oh shit, my health bar did not refill.
Yes.
It sure did.
Sion has a moment of lucidity or something. He says that you think I'm going to lose to someone who's only motivated by resentment, which is a level of depth of character analysis that I don't think that Sion could have achieved, 47 minutes ago.
Right.
But now he can.
He's evolved.
Time for another fight.
I let Dorogon beat my boys' asses, then sneak in torpedo kicks.
Yes, same thing here.
I had one hit left and he killed me, goddammit. LOL, Volt killed him the second time.
Good job. No BP for you, motherfucker. So then, is that it?
Yeah, Ko afterward will say Dorogon was pretty good. Not many people get to see him break a sweat. And I wish Dorogon would have commented on Ko juggling him 6 times in the air at the circular uppercut.
Yes. My favorite line in the game, Sion delivers after this battle.
As blood spills out of Dorogon's mouth.
Yes. Sion says,
I'm a bouncer. I make a living putting my life on the line.
Which is a high praise for, I respect bouncers, but
come on, man. You can be able to bars.
You're the bouncer. Hang in there, man.
So if you're playing this on your 3rd trip through New Game Plus, Dorogon will lie on the ground face up and start laughing. He will say he never expected anyone to push him so far. Quote, pardon my past discourtesies. I will forget the past. I no longer care about the indignation that I have suffered. He thanks us for opening his eyes and starts taking off his overalls. Hell yes. He then rips them off. A tattoo of a dragon forms on his back.
Dude.
The pleasure for the sake of fighting. Full health bar.
The clash of blood and sinew.
Yes. What's with the tattoo?
He's
like, well, I know but it auto completes on his back.
Oh, I don't know. Obviously there's a lot of missing lore from this game.
Bionoid technology.
It must be. I didn't know that 3rd stage of the battle happened until you mentioned it to me yesterday, because I remembered getting stuck on this battle when I played this game originally.
It's pretty hard if you're not cheap as shit.
Yeah, and I was like, well, how did that happen? I must have been a fucking dumbass because I had no problem this time around, but it was probably a 3rd stage situation when I was like Volt or something.
A 3rd stage situation.
Yes, of course. So, after we beat him, then the gang runs to Dominique.
Can I ask you a hypothetical here first?
Sure.
Is there a proper way to play this game, or are you supposed to cheese it?
Oh, I don't think they had time to consider that. I don't know if this is like internet lore, but I've read, unsourced, that this game, like Square said, ship this game, and they didn't have time. They needed more time for it.
It's just like it is a brawler that has moves as opposed to a flow.
Yes, exactly. That is probably the best way I've heard this game described in terms of the mechanics. Yes, great job. I don't think Dream Factory ever did anything else for Square after this.
No, they Capcom published Crimson Tears, and that's all I can remember.
My Tears are also Crimson.
They did some anime games.
So Volt goes and rips the tubes off the Strom Thurmond chair.
Affection plays.
Yes, she seems to be coming to, and she sees Sion, and she smiles with one big, long Tetsuya Nomura tooth.
Sion picks up Dominique and cradles her in his arms. He says it was terrible. She was dreaming that she was killing lots of people, which I don't think was a dream.
No, yeah, it's true. You did kill a lot of people with your fucking space laser powers. Jesus fucking Christ.
Nevertheless, Sion tells her it was just a bad dream and she won't have any more of them. He promises. Ko interrupts and says they're going to ram the satellite. Ko commands Volt to change course. Volt responds by saying this ain't no air carrier, suggesting he has no idea how to pilot this one either.
Yeah.
Sion uses profanity. My controller vibrates. Dominique says the back of this big ship will return to Earth. In her horrible dream, she saw the big ship split in two. Sion trusts her. Volt is in two. How in the fuck is this a plan?
So did you see what? So did you get the other ending too, where Chaldea takes you out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, no, that one I didn't get. I got something different than what. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I didn't get this ending either, but I looked it up on YouTube.
Yeah, what is? I didn't.
Okay, so instead of Dominique coming with the idea for escaping, if Chaldea didn't die, she will tell us where to go. And she ushers us off, and we run down the hallway to get to the back part of the Astro train or whatever.
Right.
And the door is slowly beginning to close, and she's running out of steam. Sion is carrying Dominique, and he looks back and calls out to Chaldea, and then she gets a burst of energy and shoulder bumps Sion and Dominique into the door as it closes and sacrifices herself. But it doesn't make any fucking sense because we didn't need a self-sacrifice to get there in the Dominique ending. So
one of my favorite Far Side, I think, comics, maybe Speed Bumper or ripoff, but there are two prisoners with their handcuff chained together, and there's a train coming this way, and the authorities are chasing them, and they've got one of them stands on the tracks, and the other one is on the other side of the tracks as the train approaches to separate the handcuff. And then, like, right before the guy gets killed, he looks over and sees the other two guys with the chain, like, between them, so they both get to live. Sorry, it's like, why are you sacrificing yourself, you fucking idiot?
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're Ko, Leanne's voice will come over the radio and say, "Bouncers, can you hear me?"
Bouncers, can you hear me?
Is this the only time they're actually addressed as bouncers?
Maybe. She tells us the Gallios is programmed to separate once it gets near the satellite. The front portion is designed to dock with the satellite while the back half will fall back down to Earth. Bolt asks who this is, and Ko says it's not time for 20 questions. But then no matter what, the ship does the emergency separation from Transformers the movie.
Yes, Ultra Magnus would have it no other way.
It's true, all of it. The rest of the ship collides with the satellite and explodes. Very cool shot of it all in suspended space animation. Dorion's body is just out there hanging. It's revealed that his metal pendant has Dominique's face. Maybe he did care after all.
Fuck him.
The gang are watching this shit out a window. Sion confirms the dream was real and everyone was lying to her, but says don't worry.
There's some irony here because as that ship rammed into the satellite, like, we're losing an endless energy supply that will save all of humanity and end all energy crises in the future.
Yeah.
And we've blown it up because we are the bouncers.
Well, I mean, we didn't want the bad guy to take it over, and you want to kill the big gun is it give the bad guy the big gun or kill the gun? You got to kill the gun, right? Even if it's going to save the Earth.
Kill the gun. Got it. Okay, I'm with you.
So can we talk about the high weapons grade gaslighting that went on here when they just lied to Dominique and said it was a dream? Now, like, it's 5 minutes later and it's like, we just had to get you the fuck out of there. It was true. You did kill those people, but we're going to make sure that never happens again.
Yes. So it's crazy.
This was his first act as her caretaker, was to lie to her.
Yeah. Fuck. Sion, bad, confirmed. Also, I don't love how I do love this. I do love how Duragon is floating out in space with the locket. Like, the game gives you the choice on whether or not you want to feel sorry for him. Like, it seems to err on the side of feeling sorry for him, especially with some stuff that we're going to see later. But I enjoyed the imagery, at least.
If there's some unique dialogue, Sion will tell Chaldea to rest in peace. Ko will hear a congratulations from Leanne, who tells him she'll be in touch about future assignments.
Yep.
Ko will say that a woman sure knows how to use a man. Volt will close his eyes, telepathically telling Mikado his death is avenged. Then we're back to Fate Bar, Dog Street, where it all started.
Yeah, back to Dog Street. Everything begins and ends at Dog Street. Everyone's here at the Fate Bar, vibing.
Sion is relaxing, says he's bored. Ko says this place has been too quiet ever since that incident.
Yeah, Ko, he just wants to beat ass. Like, he wants there to be fights in the bar.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had that.
He can do his job. I like to do my job at my job, too.
Yeah, sure.
Volt comes up and says it's Sion's shift, mirroring the beginning to this video game.
The Bouncer.
We see Sion out front. Then we hear some dialogue.
Hey, boy, can you put that on my tab?
Dominique catches Sion sleeping. She tells him that
Bouncer
can't be sleeping on the job.
Of course not.
He looks at her and says, yeah. She notices he's wearing her pendant.
You're wearing it!
Isn't that what a pendant's for?
I'm so happy. Thank you, Sion.
Sion tells Dominique thanks for the pendant, and she gets anime doe eyes. The camera pulls away as they continue to chat with each other. So this is more of a little sister thing, right? Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe because like she lights up his life and shit.
It's all very corny, and
it's that shit where she's 15 and it's not real, but also she's a robot,
yeah,
so she's not 15.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
It's like the fucking loophole that all this shit uses.
It's weird. There is something else that can happen here, I think, on a subsequent playthrough.
With Sion?
With Sion.
Oh, right,
yes.
the Wong thing.
So I don't know what the conditions are. I think it's just like maybe your second Sion playthrough or something. But during this moment when he's standing outside of the bar that no one goes to, he closes his eyes and he has a flashback with Wong.
I think to trigger this, you have to pick different characters in different successions in some part of the game.
Yeah, there's a lot of different little quirks that we didn't necessarily cover, but this is one that you can get later. They're training. I think it looks like the biome that they're using is the hanging garden stuff. Yeah. Or, I'm sorry. Wong says that he doesn't want Sion to worry if he disappears one day. He's planning to disappear, I guess. Just worry about improving your technique. Then you have a fight with Wong, who actually you can play as in the multiplayer.
Yeah, he plays everybody in survival and versus.
After you beat him, he tells Sion that he's learned well. He tells him to never use the arts for personal vendettas.
That's exactly what we just did.
Also true, he probably should have told Duragon that more often.
Yeah.
Maybe. He tells him he cannot continue such a lonely path because he needs the power of friendship or whatever. The spirit is the key to your strength. And then it's over. That's it. God bless the ring.
So if you're Ko, you'll get a call from Leanne. She says the satellite is being watched over, but he's free to take a vacation. So the satellite lives.
There's satellite number 69.
Yeah, 69. That's right. Ko asks her if it's possible for him to continue this assignment. Leanne thinks it'll be okay and will let High Command know. Leanne tells him not to get too involved with his assignment.
Great.
Outside the bar, Ko will get another call. It's Leanne. She knows he's closing shop soon, but she's got one more job for him. He needs to go over to Central Plaza, level 2. She won't tell him why. So Ko gets an extra stage 17. He'll arrive, and Leanne will walk out and ask what kept him waiting, huh?
I've got orders from command. I'm here to fight you.
Ko is confused with a battle anyway. So you can win or lose this fight, same result. If you lose, Ko asks, what's the meaning of this? And Leanne will say Lucas didn't want Ko to watch over the target if she didn't have the skill to beat Leanne. This relieves Ko of his assignment, is what Leanne would like to say. She then chastises Ko for allowing Mikado to let all this shit happen, and Ko thinks they shouldn't let personal feelings get in the way of the mission. Leanne walks away and tells Ko not to get cocky. Ko will say it's never easy, is it? If you win this fight, Ko will say they don't have much faith in me, do they? And Ko will also note he hasn't seen Leanne in a long time. Before he can ask her for a date, she shoots him down.
Wow.
Finally, Volt. If you're Volt, he'll ask Sion how Dominique's been since the satellite went down. So I guess if Volt wins, the satellite's down. If Ko wins, the satellite lives. I don't know.
Maybe there's remnants or something. I don't know.
If she's back to her normal self. Volt will stare at the wall and tell Sion she's going to figure it all out eventually because I guess Dominique doesn't know she's a robot. Volt points out that when we grow old, she's going to look the same. Sion resolves to tell her this when the time comes, but until then, Sion wants Dominique to live a normal life. Volt shift out front. Dominique comes up and tells Volt,
Lately, you've been looking a lot kinder, Volt.
Volt says that can't be good as it'll make him lose his job. Dominique says that he's not scaring away the customers anymore, which is good, actually.
Yeah.
Dominique tells him not to change anything as the 15-year-old robot girl enters the bar. Volt concludes that in his conversation with Sion earlier, maybe Sion was right all along. Then you hear a voice.
Does this bar have room for another bouncer?
It's Echidna, Chris.
They hired you as a bouncer. I should be more than qualified for the job.
Volt is like, I told you to settle down and lead a normal life. Echidna counters, find a man who is stronger than me, and maybe I will.
I like the visual of there being a crowded bar that needs to be bounced, and you fucking pull out your Eddie Gordo moves.
Yes, you start doing capoeira, like, in the snow.
Yeah, great.
Just when I think they're about to have sex in public, Volt calls Echidna by her name.
Aina.
Echidna's taken aback, demanding not to be called that name. Volt resolves not to dead-name her again, telling Echidna it's fine and to have it her way. Echidna walks up next to Volt, who posts up against the wall in bouncer formation. She looks at him as it fades to black. And we get credits no matter who it is. We get the song, Love is a Gift.
Yeah. Did you know that the English version plays on the English language track and the Japanese version plays if you use Japanese voices?
The Japanese version is Forevermore by Riko Noda. Chris, did you recognize the voice of who sang Love is a Gift?
No, is it Small Two of Pieces?
It is Shanice. Do you remember Shanice from the early 90s?
No.
She's saying, I love your smile.
I don't even know that song.
Yes, you do, man. It's going to be playing under this right now. You'll know this song.
I'll know when I listen to the podcast.
Just a little bit. During the credits, there's a sequence of Dominique petting a puppy, and she's visiting a graveyard.
Yeah.
She's aged a little. Whose graves are these?
It's probably Duragon, right?
He's out in space.
Yeah, but you can still have a grave for somebody who's out in space.
I was thinking it is
the Bouncer
of Dog Street, because she has the dog.
Fuck!
To replace
the Bouncer.
The Bouncer 2 Dog Street Stories.
Dog Street lore. If you win as Sion, there's a post-credit scene of Sion running up city stairs in daytime. His hood is finally up, and his chain is fucking swinging.
Yeah.
He approaches a figure wearing a cloak in the rain. She smiles and looks up at him. He asks her name. She says it's Dominique Cross. He says his is Sion Biohazard. She says his name, Sion Barzad. It fades to a save screen, back to title.
The Bouncer.
Thanks.
You're clear, safe, and go to extra game. It carries all your shit over and makes enemies harder. Chris, did you play survival mode?
No, I mean, I did play it back in the day.
I did.
Can you describe it to me?
I chose Duragon with one hand.
Good. I'm sure he's great.
I hit high attack over and over. It's the same hallway filled with guys. Some dogs killed me on stage 4 because I couldn't spam the uppercuts on them. If you do this enough, you can unlock a black hooded Scion by beating this, then putting in a code.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, remember codes? Did you read SWAT Pro?
No.
We can also unlock almost every character we beat in story mode can be played in this by playing through
the Bouncer.
There's also a versus mode, which whenever Chris and I play first person Bushido Blade multi-tap, link cable will play this too. Fucking shit, Chris. That's it. We did the Bouncer.
We did the Bouncer.
The Bouncer.
Do you want to quickly...
The Boo Boo Bros?
Check in with the Boo Boo Bros.
Initializing Boo Boo Bros.
Check in. Hello, Boo Boo Bros. Shy Guy 32 fucking called it.
Yes, Parfo and Shy Guy got it right. Chris stopped explicitly confirming it on the Discord at a certain point.
Yeah, I made the mistake of telling somebody that they were wrong, and then I was like, oh, I should have done that.
The teaser I posted, the image was from the Japanese version of the Bouncer with Van Damme.
Yes, awesome. High praise for the Bouncer button that we now have.
We should keep that.
Yeah, I'm keeping that. I'll only deploy it in the most precarious situations.
Yeah, you must be disciplined with the Bouncer button.
Yes.
The Bouncer. The Bouncer. The Bouncer. The Bouncer. The Bouncer. The Bouncer. The Bouncer.
J question mark says it's where Nomura finally gets to go nuts with zippers and belts.
Yeah. Like this. If the Bouncer didn't happen, like an entire decade of character design also would not have happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a very easy and obvious joke now, but it's so fucking true. You can't not say it.
I mean, the apex was Final Fantasy X, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the half shorts
Lulu's
and stuff.
belt and her belt dress.
Whew. Pinball Thief mentions that forgot about this game. I think it was one of my first PS2 games back in the day. Hearing all this is triggering some memories. Yes, my friend. This happened to me too. The very real rage of sabotaging your own run when the AI bosses, or the AI kill steals your bosses is something that you can definitely, he remembers as well.
The game is much easier to appreciate as a historical document of what games were like in this time.
I agree with that.
Where games aspired to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is a good game, but I enjoyed playing it. Does that make sense?
From like almost an academic point of view, like if you're doing a podcast about it.
Yeah, of course. Like, I think by the time this thing publishes, we're going to be the world record holders for the longest The Bouncer podcast.
There was a good article at Kotaku last December during the anniversary called I Can't Stop Thinking About the Bouncer, I think.
John Doe says, holy shit, that hell hath no fury is a reference to Echidna's woman scorned line from earlier.
Oh, it connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
Good job, Richard.
Yeah, thanks, Richard, I guess. John Doe says, in relation to the last battle, I love that Mikado apparently only becomes more powerful the more he disrobes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
loses the handcuffs, loses the jacket, loses the overalls.
Yeah.
If he was totally naked, we never win. Like that Eastern Promises fight in the bathroom.
They should have had him start with the one-hand thing there, too, and just make it like a 4-stage battle. SSD Ninja says, how much money do you need for a God Hand podcast?
April Fool's 2022.
Yeah, I mean, we would like to do a lot of these like weird one-offs, but time.
God Hand's a much longer game.
Yeah,
so.
also time.
Also hard.
Yeah. That's definitely one that would be on the list of weird things we would do.
You were not Alexander.
Yeah, John Doe says, holy shit, I never connected that the ending was an FF7 style, but everyone but Red 13/Dominique is dead.
Yeah.
Which I never read it that way either. I just assumed that it was Duragon, but yeah, your read is much better. Let's see. I think that's all we got from the Boo Boo Bros tonight. Thank you, Boo Boo Bros, for joining us tonight. You can return to your regularly scheduled programming as the RealNet in the next episode of this podcast. We will be returning to regularly scheduled programming.
If it's your first time listening, check our series on Xenogears, Chrono Cross, and next summer of 2021, Final Fantasy VIII.
Yes, we normally do this stuff on classic Japanese RPGs, so please check those out if you like those games. This episode was a production of Retrograde Amnesia, recorded on today, March 1st, 2021. Thank you, Mark
Shepard,
for the music and the intro track and whatever I normally say.
You're welcome, Chris.
Find us on Twitter at RetroAmnesiaPod, and if you like us, please consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/RetroAM. You can get early access, bonus episodes, miniseries, voting rights, stereo mix, and access to the RealNet/BooBoo Bros on Discord. Email us at retrogradeamnesiapodcast@gmail.com. Eric, until next time.
Guess who will eat a cat burger?
And now you may go back to Dog Street.
Well, Sion, cow, what do we...
Co.
This is our new fucking, what the word I can't figure out.
It's not cow. It's co. Yeah.
In Volt.
Announce the launch of an additional solar-powered generator satellite.
Just said that, buddy.
You just said that. Okay, so I want to say what the newscast is saying. So I'm going to pause, cut that shit, fuck that. It's also...
That's right. Cosmos. The next guy... I'm not even going to fucking...
The bouncer. I'm not even going to fucking trail off.
Why did I write all this shit?
And then Mugetsu says, don't make him angry. You know how the lights in here flicker whenever the refrigerator comes on? You know what also happens?
The screen shakes? What do you do?
When I'm playing the bouncer on that TV right there, everything turns into like all the colors invert.
That's great.
It's fucking weird.
It's a great system you have.
I think I'm going to unplug that refrigerator.
Yeah, or find maybe run it to a different outlet because the circuit may be different if you're plugged in.
I think everything on here is on the same circuit.
Cool.
So I don't think I should. Anyway, go ahead. I don't know. How did we get here?
Sion's in
what was
the
the beginning of all this?
How did all this begin?
Yeah. Speaking of Fatal Falls, let me say it again. Hold on, need a drink.
Something that I captured. In Eastern cultures, there's only one way to repay
one master by surpassing. This is my payback to you, master.
Panther anamorphs back to human.
Yes.
The Bouncer.